Okay, let's see. Come on, YouTube. Am I live? Am I live? Hang on, let's see. Not yet. Commercials. Still not used to it. It'll take me some time until I'm used to having commercials on this live stream. Okay. Yes, what is it? Good night, sweetie pie. Sweet dreams. Ah, here I am. It's the Nazarite. Bringing you Hebrew lore from days of yore. Now, hang on a second. Let's set the chat. Let's set the goal. This time the goal will be more... this time the goal will be better. Let's do it... Let's do it 15 super chats in 2 hours. I don't know if I'll be on for 2 hours, but let's do that. And I will put on a cow onesie, one that hasn't been seen yet, and I'm very happy about that. What is it? Yes, that's right. Yes, that's right. Hang on a second. All right, now, hey, wait, what? There. Yes, here it is. Yes, people are here. Hello, people. How are you doing this evening? Wait, no, that's not the right cow. I'm looking for the good cow emoji. Where is it? Here we go, the cow face. There. The cow face emoji. 15 super chats, 6 shekels are up. Let's get this show on the road. And Rusty is here, Robert Harrison is here. And what I want to do is give a shout out to the lovely people who gave in the last 2 live streams, because in the previous one I forgot to thank those in the previous one. So I'm going to go down that list of lovely folk who gave. Today is Wednesday. So on Tuesday it was Garfield 4317, Natalie Reed, Proud American, Natalie Reed again, Justin Reynolds, Garfield again, Logan Salmons, The Midnight Gardener, and Sin, Re-Dragon, and Creeper Zergling. Wow, I haven't heard the term Zergling since the since StarCraft. Wow. You know, I never played StarCraft 2. People, if you played StarCraft 2, how is it? I mean, look, when the first one came out, I bought it like the day it came out in Israel. What was that? All right, just see if anything's falling out of the cabinet. I washed dishes before. Maybe I misplaced something. I bought StarCraft pretty much the day or a day after it came out.
Just a bowl.
Just a bowl, sweet.
A plastic bowl.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah.
Thanks. I saw it was moving earlier. Laila Tov, sweet dreams, baby.
Yeah.
And in the beginning it didn't work, and I went back to the store, and then it worked in the store, so I figured out what was wrong. I played StarCraft. It was such a good game. As I was saying, Reed Dragonix, Coffee with Malcolm, Rick Ham, and who else? That's it? And on Monday it was The Midnight Gardener, Binary Ghosts, AK-2900, Jew Potter, Fruit to Perfection, Binary Ghosts, General Psych, Incorrect, and Alex, who else? Was that it? Oh, and Arbel Ricks. Wow, so many people. We have raised like close to 1,600 shekels so far. Oh, and more coming in even as I'm speaking right now. What, was there anyone? Was there another one? Yes, on Monday there was Toiler and anyone else? Dale Gribble. Those were all the people from yesterday and the day before who gave to this wonderful, wonderful charity. And I still don't know which charity it will be, and I'm inviting you people to voice your opinion. Over 1,600 shekel has been raised. It might be close to 2,000 because the last day or two hasn't yet been calculated in YouTube's analytics or whatnot. But definitely, when it does come in, it's going to be awesome. Tonight, I'm broadcasting live from Jerusalem, and I have a lovely cup of chai without any milk. I like it straight up. Of course, I mean, I'm vegan. It wouldn't be dairy milk even as it is. It would be a different milk. And I don't know. I never really tried chai with any other milk, so I don't know if it's any good or not. But it's still too hot to drink. I'm going to wait on that. Luscious lips you got there, gorgeous. Thank you, Rice So Wet. Now look, there are 2 ways to prepare rice. I mean, initially, you either You either rinse the rice or you don't rinse the rice. So do you rinse the rice? Is that why your rice is so wet? You tell me. Or, if you don't rinse the rice, there are some people who say that it's a little too starchy. People, do you find that your rice is too starchy? Of course, it depends on the rice, but Matisyahu from Temu says one spast. I've been called Temu Matisyahu and Temu Gandalf so far. I wonder how many Temu characters I can be. Now, Matthew coming in hot with $2. What if I game this with many small donations? Feel free to do so if you want. I mean, this is a onesie. Look, I've dressed up as Johnny Giraffe before, and the giraffe onesie has been the goal the last couple of times. But this time, it's a costume that I have not yet put on ever. I think I don't think I ever actually put it on before, so that's pretty awesome. My rice tastes amazing, says Rice So Wet. All right, good for you. Good for you. Now, there has been a lot in the chat, in the comments recently on my on the short that I put yesterday. First of all, I mean, it just occurred to me just now, an hour ago, and I put out a quick short that it's God who's the original influencer. So if people are sick of influencers and it's not even a job and stuff, so it's God is the original influencer. Muahahaha, says Matthew. Do they have Mexicans? Says Meadow. Emil Wetterstrand says, can you sing One Day? I mean, I can do a bit of it. Sometimes I lay under the moon. I thank God I'm breathing. And so I pray, don't take me soon. I am here for a reason. Sometimes in my tears I drown. Okay. Talking too much, says Jakub. Hey, that's what I do here. I rant, I ramble, I rave, I blah, blah, blah. I do the occasional arm fart, and I dress up with silly hats and costumes for your entertainment. This is kind of what I'm doing even right now. Now, this, by the way, was knit by my woman. I mean, it's basically a head covering for a woman, but I dig, any head covering, any hat. That's pretty cool. Keep spreading love, big bro, says Rice So Wet. Awesome. What is God for you, says John. Well, I don't know God. All I know is how God reveals himself to me. So God for me is neither here nor there, but the revelations of Adonai, of the Most High God, are everywhere. You got that gray under. How much age you putting up? I'm 43. I'm 43 and counting. We are ready for change here, UK. Enough of the cover-ups, says Sarenia. What do you mean cover-ups? And what is it that you are ready for in the UK? I'm curious. Mayerick says, I love you so much. Right back at you, May. In one of my favorite months. I love a good month of May. I really do. McBlitz says, a lot of people think their jobs are basically their identity and more important than learning on this earth. Well, agreed. But let's put it this way. There is that idea of the non-job, right? Where you simply get paid for being yourself, doing what it is that you intuitively feel you were put on this earth to do. And that is wonderful. Now, even though every job as such has its minutiae and has its annoying parts and has its routine, there is that idea of the non-job that speaks to me on a whole other level. So, which is also why I love doing my job, right? My career as a writer. It's something I've felt I want to do for a long time. But McBlitz, a lot of people think their jobs are basically their identity, is correct. A lot. Some people do definitely think that. I don't know if it's a lot of people or not. There are billions of us in this world. So it could very well be that if your job is just a job, you might not want to associate your identity so closely with it, and that it shouldn't be more important than learning. This is also why the Hebrew faith teaches us that you should work for a living and study Torah and Derech Eretz, right? Torah and the way of being in the world. This is what that is. It's something that I have always strived to stick to. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, says Jakub. You look like the guy on the pack of zigzags. What are zigzags, Darla Lewis? I don't know. You'll have to dumb it down for me. I'm ignorant. What are zigzags? Ban gay Mexicans and water. Ban gay Mexicans and water? I would think, I don't know, but I would think that gay Mexicans are some of the gayest Mexicans ever as happy and glad are concerned. All right, we are 5 for 15 with Matthew bringing it. Mexicans and water. Okay, so I understand why you would want to ban gay Mexicans because some people are bigoted or no, anti-gay. Why would you want to ban water? I don't, I mean, what? Wolfie says not even a thank you? I'm not sure what's going on. The chat is moving so quickly. Hang on a second. I don't see what's coming in. Not even a thank you. Hold on a moment. I don't see anything else coming in. It's all been Matthew, and I must have missed what you said in the chat, so please tell me what it is you said. Maybe tag me so I'll see it. Ban gay guys that hate Jewish water. Jewish water? What is Jewish water? Interesting. Very, very interesting. Untitled says, hey, I have a question. I'm Christian. Can Jewish women marry a Christian? So, according to halacha, it's best if you keep a wedding within the tribes, but it depends who you ask. Some Jews, the conservatives, reform, those who are not Orthodox may say, yes, there's nothing wrong with interfaith marriage. Orthodoxy says there is something wrong with interfaith marriage, so it really does depend on who you ask. I know that I strived to marry within the tribes, and I know many Jews and Israelis do, and some Jews could not care any less about the faith or the religion or carrying on the covenant. So even though they were born Jewish into a Jewish family, and even if they were raised religious or not religious, they simply don't care for whatever reason, and I don't think that there's anybody who will actually force them, we don't have any. But can a Jewish woman marry a Christian? Yes, the kids will be Jewish. That's the thing, because right now, technically, halachically, rabbinically speaking, if you were born to a Jewish mother, you are a Jew. This wasn't always the case. The tribal and religious affiliation, if you will, used to go through the father until the time of Ezra the scribe. Hello, do you speak Hebrew? Ken, אני מדבר עברית. Fixla. I do speak Hebrew. I don't like you, says Matt Grow. Hey, that's okay. You don't have to like me. You can swipe up. It's all good, or down, or right, or left. Whatever you want. He's collecting money. Ain't that typical? Yes, Fizzle, I am collecting money, but it's going all to charity. I haven't been paid yet. I've only been monetized for a few weeks, 2.5 weeks or so I haven't been paid yet. When I do get paid, I will be as transparent as I possibly can about it, and I will give it all to charity. As I say, all the super chats, super thanks, ad revenue, and super stickers to charity. If ever a brand deal or something comes my way, I'll definitely could get on board with that. And that I will give a tithe from and keep the rest. But as for YouTube revenue as such, it will all go to charity, and I will be as transparent as I can about it. Thoughts on genocide in Gaza, says Muslim Mujahid. That there is no genocide in Gaza unless it's the Hamas who are the genocidal maniacs, which they are. There's no genocide technically, there's no genocide statistically, there's no intent of genocide, and the numbers speak for themselves. So there is a defensive war that Israel is fighting, and there is the population of innocent Palestinians that Hamas is using as human shields, putting in the line of fire to maximize the civilian casualty and spread their false propaganda. But those are my thoughts. Who is the synagogue of Satan? So I've met Christians who say that it's Israel, Philip, and I've met Christians who say, no, it's Christians who say they are Christian, but not really Christian. So, yeah. Chinny, but I don't know who the synagogue of Satan is or are. Chinny says, don't mean to be rude. All right, what did you ask? I didn't see it. I'm not sure what you said, so say it again. Black Swan, like the hat, love the dreads. Black Swan is one of my favorite Tom York songs from his solo album, The Eraser. Yes, indeed. Hey, we're at 8 for 15. Are all of them Matthew? You really want to see me in a cow onesie, don't you? Okay, let's continue. So a Christian man marry Jewish woman even if she's Orthodox, Hasidic. No, a Hasidic or Haredi woman would not marry a Christian to begin with because it's not according to halacha, meaning that halachically speaking, a Hebrew man marries a Hebrew woman, right, with her consent, and she must say yes, and she must agree, and all that. Shalom, brother, says Nuke Nova. You look like my cousin. Hey, for all I know, maybe I am your cousin. Who are you? Where are you from? What are you at? Thoughts on the Christians? McBlitz, I have no thoughts on Christianity. The Christians I've met were altogether pretty chill. Those in the chat and in the comments are trying to convert me constantly, Not a fan of that, but I understand where they're coming from. They've found Jesus and they want to spread the good news. They want everybody to find the grace and the love that they have experienced, and they want me to come under the wings, back to the flock. And I always say it could be that if I was a Christian or follower of Jesus, I would be doing the same, but I'm not. So my thoughts are, Christians gonna Christ. That's pretty much all I'm saying. Thoughts on Yakub creating white people? I don't know what that means, House 88888. Do you want to dumb it down for me a bit? I'm ignorant. What does that mean? Convert, says one spast. Yeah, I don't think so. I do not think so. Untitled Me said, but I've heard that it's okay, one Orthodox said. Well, it's okay in the sense that the children will be Jewish. If you're talking about continuing the line, right, of the tribes, continuing the line of the covenant of Torah, then yes. But I know that most religious women would not marry outside the faith. Or at least that's what I think. But I'm not a religious woman, so I have no idea. No idea. So Haredi people live in mini ethno-states. First of all, there is no such thing as an ethno-state technically. It's not like a proper UN definition, if you will, statehood country-wise. But Haredi people, well, far be it for me to say where they live. I know the neighborhoods that they live in. Look, Haredi people live within halacha, within rabbinic law. They have their 4 cubits of halacha. That's the life they lead, right? They have the Gdolim, right, the Torah sages of their time, and that's who they follow, and that's what they claim to do. Now, some Haredim are anti-Zionist. Some Haredim are pro-Zionist. Some Haredim join the army. Some Haredim are against the army. Some Haredim don't even use shekels. They use dollars, they use dinars. I don't know what they use, but not shekels. Some Haredis vote. Others do not. Do you see what I'm saying? It's a broad generalization to say Haredi. The one thing that you could say about Haredi, right, is that their life revolves around halacha. Now, this is also true to the modern Orthodox and regular, if you will, Orthodox people. But I think that Haredis differentiate themselves more with how they dress, definitely with how they dress, although there are those who, right? I mean, the Hasidic sects, definitely with the different hats and with the different... so yeah, but the mini ethno-state that they live in is not an ethno-state as such. It's the halacha that they go by. Do Zionists like hummus? Definitely. And about hummus. I love hummus. I can see you. Indeed, I can see you too. Eric Schwartz, may the Schwartz be with us all. I'm sure you're tired of me saying that because I think you were here before. Woman hat, says Robert. Yes, my wife crocheted it. She crocheted, when we first married, well, after I came back from the army, so within the first few years of our marriage, she crocheted a lot of hats, and she also crocheted a few Rasta hats for me, right, with the colors of Africa, back when I was wearing that at the time. So that's pretty cool. I enjoyed that. Emperor of Mankind Tito said, not religious myself. Well, I don't consider myself religious as such, just because I don't like labels, but okay. He says, I appreciate how you explain your faith. Keep doing what you're doing. Most appreciated, Emperor, your eminence, your imperial majesty. I appreciate that. Still 8 for 15, but there's a long way to go. I don't know if I'll be on for 2 hours, but there's a long way to go. Are you a real Nazarite? You don't cut your hair. Angel 410. I am a real Nazarite. I took a Samson Nazarite vow 15 years ago. I hope to stay under this vow until my grave, and possibly after the grave. So yes, I don't cut my hair. I don't partake of grapes, raisins, wine vinegar of any kind. And because it's a Samson Nazarite, I can be defiled by dead people. However, I also stay away from funerals, stay away from cemeteries, even though I can technically join in. I try not to do that. I try to embrace life. And as an addendum, I also took on veganism, and I cut out all alcohol, not just grape wine. But Nazarites can drink alcohol that is not of grape origin. Do you hate Arabs? No, I do not. I've met many Arabs in my life, and they were all pretty chill, workers and others. Roy the Human Billboard. All right, Human Billboard Roy, what are you advertising this month? Please do say. Since you're my cousin, when are we meeting up, says Nova. I'll tell you, my calendar has its holes. Hit me up, on the phone, and we'll get in touch. Trippy Custodian says hi. It's always nice to have another trippy custodian. I'm something of a trippy custodian myself. Shalom Rabbi says, I'm not a rabbi, I'm not a rabbi, I'm not a teacher, I'm not a master, I'm not a scholar, I'm not a sage, I'm nothing of the sort. I'm just one simple dumbass in the Middle East with a phone. That's all I am. Yaqub is Arabic for Jacob. Yes, I understood that Yaqub is Jacob. I'm asking about the creation of white people thing. Where did that come from? That's strange. Most religious Jews worship graves. You know what? A lot of them, they don't worship graves, but it could definitely be sometimes crossing the line. It's not grave worshiping. It's not grave worshiping, but it is what's called hishtatchut, which is kneeling down or bowing down at the site of a grave, right? But it's not bowing down to the grave. When people go to the graves and markings, right, places of death, of righteous folk, of prophets, and others, and other holy men and women, at least ideally, they are not meant to be worshiping the dead. The Torah cautions us not to do that, right? But what they are doing is saying, may it be that by the merit of the sage or prophet or holy person that died here and whose bones are here, may it be that by the merit of their good deeds and their actions, that this XYZ be fulfilled here in this world now. See what I'm saying? So there's a difference. Ooh, a couple more super chats came in. Hang on a second. Let's see what it was. Okay. Hey, JP is here again. Nice to see you again. Do you believe the miracles Samson did were literal or just metaphors? Well, I think that part of the miraculous nature of the Nazarite vow in Samson's case was that it truly did give him superhuman strength. However, we can make the argument that it's all allegorical, right? So, is it metaphor or is it literal? First of all, with anything to do with the Bible, it doesn't matter to me if it's literal or allegory or metaphor or whatever it is. I take it as something that I can have wisdom, right, from. I can gain wisdom from it and discern certain things from it. As for Samson, just right off the bat, yes, I think it was actually literal. But, far be it from me to know. Let's say, it wouldn't hurt me in any way if it wasn't literal, and if it was all allegory or metaphor. That's what I'm saying. But yeah, I do actually think he lifted those gates. I really do actually think he wrestled with that lion's cub. I do actually think that he brought down the house on the Philistines when they were in their festival. Are you related to Weird Al? Brianna says. Oh man, I would love to. He's so good. He really is good. I haven't listened to his things of late. I loved him in the 90s. Bayi says, tell us about some of your IDF service, Mossad Unit 8200. Well, 8200 is Army Intelligence. I wasn't in that. Mossad is International Espionage. I wasn't in that. In my IDF service, I was a field medic, and I served from 20 years old until 38 years old in mandatory service and then in the reserves. I was a medic in different things. I was an infirmary medic, and I was a field combat medic. But basically, yeah, medical personnel, that was me. And I learned a lot, and I got to experience a lot of things, and some things were better than others, but the Army definitely taught me a lot. What do you want to know about my service? Let me know. Some heat about my IDF service. Well, I've mentioned in the past that twice my finger was on the trigger, and twice I'm very thankful I did not need to pull the trigger. That's what I'm very thankful for. I met some good friends in the service. Sometimes when it was just training and no operation or war was going on, it was always nice to get out for a week or two to the desert. The unit, I was part of a platoon of tanks, and I was their medic of, tank fighters. And there were some good people there, man, let me tell you. There were some really good people there. How many children have you killed? None, Highlander. I'm happy to say I've killed 0 children. Is there Mexican food in Israel? Yes, there is, Meadow. I don't know how it compares to actual Mexican food, because actual Mexican food is in all likelihood not kosher, things to do with mixing dairy and meat together. But the Mexican food that I have here, that I've had, was pretty good. May God curse you and the IDF, amen, says Quadrant Royale. All right, let's go with that. Thank you for supporting Israel and the IDF, Royale. It is appreciated. Oh, damn, are you a practicing doctor to be a field medic? No. I was a field medic simply because, well, I was supposed to go into infantry, actually. And over the course of my service, I was with a tank unit and doing infantry work as well when infantry missions were involved. But no, I was in a field medics course because a week before, I mean, look, I was supposed to go in a few months, I was supposed to go in the summer. But then in the spring, we suddenly got a fax. Yes, a fax. This was in 1990, what is it, 2003. Anyway, the place where I was at, the yeshiva that I was in, at the time, I was in yeshiva for a few years before the army. The yeshiva got a message from the army saying that we desperately needed, they used the term desperately, they desperately need more people who are supposed to go in the summer to go in like next week for the spring army medics course. We need them desperately. So I said, you know what? If they need me desperately, I'll go for it. I'll answer the call. And that's how I became a medic. Now, there's also a chance that if I would have gone into a regular infantry unit a few months later, I would have also been sent to the medics course. Maybe, maybe not. Yaqub says House is the creator of the white race. It's part of the black Israelite canon. Yaqub created whites as revenge in the lab. In a lab? Because he was disparaged by Africans. Their global success stems from him. I am trying to see how that could be. How could Yaakov create a race? Because, I mean, look, Jacob is the father of the 12 tribes and of Dinah. That much is correct. The 12 tribes of Israel, some consider a race unto itself. Also correct. But how could you create a white race, especially if you're Middle Eastern? So if you consider me white, I'm white. If you consider me brown, I'm brown. How could Yaakov create a white race? Did he genetically manipulate the people he was sleeping with, or what's going on there? Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu, melech ha'olam, shehakol nihye bidvaro. Oh, chai. I love a good cup of chai. Dare to be stupid, says Greg. Yeah, it's a good album. It's a very good album. Emperor says, do Jewish people believe in the existence of Jesus, but that he was just not a true prophet? Basically, as far as I'm concerned, he could have been a potential anything, but he died. So Jews consider Jesus a dead man one way or another. Whether he was king, whether he was an anointed prophet, whether he was, he's dead. That's pretty much where it comes down to. BMXers is here. Oh my God. BMXers has been coming to this channel for years. All right, we are 2/3 of the way there, people, with 10 out of 15 super chats. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm trying to get don't worry, be happy thing. I'm not sure what you mean, man, because you probably said something before. Either way, it's good to see you BMXers with dreadlocks. Boom Delt says, I think nobody wants the Gaza situation, but people do brush over 7th of October like it was some response on Israel, which it isn't. I just hate this timeline. Yeah, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. It's something really, really horrible and terrible, and may there be peace. May bloodshed and war be taken away from creation, even right now as I am speaking these words. May we know peace and prosperity. May we be able to thrive and embrace each other as humans, as one big human family. Do away with the borders and do away with the things that come between us and that differentiate us, and may we find unity in our differences. Okay. Hi, am I says, hi, am I? Good to see you again. What does it feel like to have long, beautiful dreads? I wouldn't know. I only have my dreads, which are kind of long, but everything's comparative. But if you mean my dreads, it feels pretty damn good. I mean, I don't attribute too much significance to them, as I've said. It's only hair. But the hair signifies the covenant that I am under. And it's hair that I've watched grow organically, from just hair to these free-form organic Nazarite dreads. And it's something that goes with me every day. It's a covenant that grows, right? The crown of separation that grows from within the crown of my head. So yeah. Bay says, your personal opinion on Netanyahu is that he needs to go. He needs to go. He's had his time on the throne. He needs to get out of office. Greg says, if skin color is a deal breaker for you, you mean for me or for people? And Christianity probably wasn't for you anyway. No, skin color is not a deal breaker for me. You can be a white-skinned, black-skinned, brown-skinned, pink-skinned, yellow-skinned, orange-skinned Jew, and a Jew you remain nevertheless. Solomon made all types of mixed races. He had many wives. Yes, a lot of those marriages were political. But yes, it's true. He probably did. Matthew says, "What were you doing?" Oh, wait, it just jumped. I'm sorry. It just jumped. Ah, hang on. I'll try and get back to it. Matthew, I'm sorry, I can't see it. Okay, let's go to the super chats. Antok says, "God is great. We need peace in the world. I'm Irish. Nice to see your stream." Well, hi there in Ireland. And thank you for the lovely donation. And again, choose a charity. It will all go to charity. I just still don't know which one because I haven't been paid yet, but it all will be going. How often do you pray every day, and what are your conversations with that about? Do you hear his voice? So I pray on a regular basis. Now, there was a time when I went 3 times a day to synagogue for the morning, afternoon, and evening prayers with a minyan, right, with a congregation, in a shul, in a synagogue, but it's been many years since I did that. My prayers ever since I was a boy were hitbodedut, which means seclusion, which means de facto, in reality, spontaneous dialogue with the Most High God, just like I'm talking to you guys right here, guys and gals, right here and right now. As for hearing his voice, I have been privy to divine revelation in dreams. I have been privy to divine revelation in, let's say, visions of being like semi-awake, in the sense that I'm awake, but in a momentary trance, if you will, and a thought or a vision had visited me, come into my head. But to hear a voice, I've only heard that in dreams. Visions, I had images and sort of moving images, if you will, not of God, but of divine revelation, things to do with me. But as far as a voice, yes, I have heard a voice, but I know it's not God, it's a revelation of divine voice in dreams. Yes, it has happened, not a lot at all, once or twice. Well, I'd say once truly, and other times there was no voice, but there was just a sensation and a feeling, and again, in a dream or in a vision, but no voice. But I did hear that voice once, and it was through like an intermediary, right? So how often do I pray? I do pray every day, but I don't pray necessarily morning, noon, and night, as halacha specifies. What I do carry out is each and every day, I do talk to God on a daily basis, and if for whatever reason I don't talk to God all day, I do it at night before I go to sleep, kiss my woman goodnight or whatnot, and I turn over, and I have my few moments with God. And as for what goes on there, I'm sorry, what was the question? Hang on a second. Your conversations. The conversations are about anything that comes spontaneously to mind, be it the things going on in my life or wishes and desires for the world, anything and everything in between all of those things. Were you burning the bush, says Connor. Connor? No, Conra. I haven't burned bush in a long time. I am a fan, but I haven't burned bush in a long time. That voice is Jesus, says C. Scatalis? Sacitis. Yes, Christians obviously would say that it's Jesus. I don't think that, but that's okay. Angel says, "Isn't following the 10 Commandments what make you a good person?" Well, let's put it this way. I think that primarily what makes you a good person, some things are objectively true, if you will, and some things are subjective to the time and place and society and environment that you are born into. But by and large, I would say that what would make you a good person, because some people would treat people horribly and still think they are doing God's will, and that would make them a good person. So if you treat someone poorly, but God told you to do it, doesn't that make you a good person in the eyes of God? Do you see how that might be problematic? Which is why I immediately take God out of that equation. So not the 10 Commandments. If I had to say what makes someone a good person, righteous, is the golden rule, right? Love thy neighbor, love thy God. But if we're taking God out of the equation, it's what Hillel told the convert, right? What Hillel the sage told him when he came to convert. What you hate, do not do unto your fellow. That is the entirety of the Torah. The rest is commentary, go and learn it. So he told him the basics, and he told him go and learn the rest. So I think that's what would make you a good person. But primarily, if we boil that down, the thing that makes you a good person is humility. Humility is the key to all positive attributes. Humility is the key to all positive personality traits. Humility is the key to all good things in this world. Because it's knowing the right time and place for things. or knowing that you don't know what the right time and place actually is, and it means that you are cautious and that you're able to discern. It means that you're not proud or vain or arrogant, and it means that you are able to lower yourself. And to be able to lower oneself, it doesn't make you lower. It, in fact, helps to get you higher. So I say, and this has been my experience, not that I'm holier than anyone or higher than anyone, not in the least, but in my experience in this world, dealing with myself, dealing with family, dealing with people in over the course of 40 something years of life, humility is the key to go by. So it's not necessarily the 10 commandments, and it's not even necessarily what you hate, don't do unto your fellow, because people hate different things, but humility is the key to all good things, I would say. Practice humility. And humility of its own accord. It's like, don't be a doormat, right? Don't be a pushover, but just know your place. Humility is also knowing what boundaries to put up and when and how to enforce them, because it doesn't come primarily from ego. It comes from the desire for positivity and respectful relationship. See what I'm saying? Okay. Shalom, says Aditya. Shalom to you. What do you think of non-believers who are generally good people? I think they're awesome, and people should strive to be good. We can't all be good 100% of the time. We can't, right? There is no perfection, but while seeking it is attaining it, right? Seeking perfection is attaining it. Going after the ideal, even if you fall short of it, is still attempting to attain it. And along the journey, you get better at doing that. And your ideal might change, and your views might shift. And so a continuous effort, day by day, thought by thought, right? Deed by deed, is the way to go. What's your point of view on truth? Is it relevant? Does it matter? Facts and shorts. Truth is an absolute, and I don't deal in absolutes. Only a Sith deals in absolutes. The absolute that I have in my life is the Most High God, and I don't know God, right? All I know are revelations of God. So I don't treat things as, but my point of view is that truth, Torah, let's put it this way. Torah is truth in that sense. Truth is one of the divine attributes, also known as tiferet, corresponding with the torso of the human being. Now, when I say Torah is truth, what I mean to say is that studying Torah, more what not to do than to do, by the way, which is why people say the Torah is horrific, barbaric, misogynistic, and awful. It's like, yes, there are horrific, barbaric, misogynistic, terrible things in it, so we can learn what not to do as well. It's a world of good and evil, and this is Torah given to people in a world of good and evil, with a good and evil inclination, right? With a struggle of sorts, something to contend with a very finite and limited life, a very frail and fragile body, a very curious intellect. We are very curious creatures, human beings. So my point of view on truth is that it is an attribute and an ideal worth pursuing, even if you fall short of it. It's worth pursuing truth. And I go with what Dr. Jordan Peterson says, right? Tell the truth, or at least don't lie. It's like, you don't always know what the truth is, but you know when you're lying. So I try not to tell falsehoods. I try to tell the truth. Is it relevant? Always. Always, always, always relevant, because you're going to pay a price either way for the things you say, the things you do, the way you behave, and what you eat, and what you wear, and you're going to pay a price for anything and everything that you do in this life. It's part and parcel of humanity. Does it matter? Yes. Is it relevant? Yes. Do I know what it is? I'll go with Torah. Torah is truth. Torah is a manifestation of truth, because by the time it comes down here to the physical world, its spiritual origin is there, but by the time it comes down to the physical world, and it already has thou shalt and thou shalt nots, the duality of truth and untruth or non-truth is already baked right in, which is why I take it as the Bible and the Torah specifically, but the Hebrew Bible, it just teaches me more what not to do than what to do. But yes, definitely relevant, definitely it matters. Tell the truth about the Talmud then, says Nostalgic Future. The truth about the Talmud is that it was written a few hundred years, or canonized, right, a few hundred years after, in the Common Era, right, 300 years after the temple was destroyed in the year 70 by Rome. It is a commentary and continuation of the debate of the Mishnah, which is the oral traditions that were written down. Talmud and Mishnah were not meant to be written down, but they were because they thought it might be forgotten. So they had to write it down, even though it was meant to remain oral. In the course of debate and in the course of discussion, no halacha, rabbinic law, is actually ruled. Halacha is derived from the Mishnah, derived from the Babylonian and Jerusalem Talmud, but it's not actually written in there. What is written in there is discussions and debate spanning hundreds of years and countless sages. I'm sure people have counted them, but you know what I mean. Each with their own opinion, each with their own tradition, each with their own outlook and lens through which they view the world, each with their own divine attributes to which they would correspond or adhere to or feel close to, which means that sometimes the parameters of discussion are very broad. And that's how you can get to all kinds of things in the Talmud that make no physical sense and seem batshit crazy, because A, there's a spiritual root to it, and by the time it comes down here, it sort of gets murky in the world of good and evil. Second, it's a debate that has to do with practical halacha, rabbinic law, but halacha is not actually written there. It's just the debate, and it's myth, and it's lore, and it's legends, right? And it's the discussions and the debates, and that's why it's very broad. That's the truth about the Talmud. Now, the truth about the Talmud that other people think is that it's a heinous book full of, again, misogyny and anti-Gentile, right, anti-nations rhetoric and sentiment, that the nations are cattle, right, that non-Jews are less, they should all be killed, Jewish supremacy, a lot of things that maybe individual rabbis do think, but it wasn't actually made into halacha, at least in most cases. I'm not a man of halacha, in the sense that I'm not a rabbi, and I have studied Talmud, though not for a very long time, regularly, and I hope to get back to studying Talmud because I appreciate the debate and the discourse and the discussion, and I no longer keep strict halacha, which is why I also don't consider myself proper Orthodox religious Jew, right? Oh, there's a super chat that came in. JP says, do you believe Saul of Tarsus, aka Apostle Paul, studied at the feet of Gamliel? And what do you think of his conversion to being a Christian? So the first Christians were not Christians. They were simply Jews who believed that Yeshua was Messiah. And as far as I'm concerned, it makes no difference to me if he was or he wasn't, because he's dead, and when he dies, so does his rule. When he dies, so does his reign. When he's dead, the crown goes on to another human being. We do not follow the dead. We walk in their footsteps. We learn from their experience. We can learn from their wisdom, but we don't follow them as though they are alive. We don't follow the dead. So that's why, that's one thing. The original Jews, the original Christians were not even Christians. They were Jews who thought Yeshua was Messiah. Paul, do I believe he studied at the feet of Gamliel? It could very well be. Rabban Gamliel, I don't know if the timeline actually adds up, but it's said that Yeshu HaNotzri, or Jesus of Nazareth, was actually a disciple, a student, a pupil of Rabbi Yehoshua ben Prachya, right? A second Temple era sage. And there's a debate in the scholars, the academics, the researchers on whether or not this actually corresponds with the timeline. Oh no, it was a different Yeshu HaNotzri, it was a different Rabbi Yehoshua. I don't know the case. There's an argument to be made for either one of those. Either it was him or it wasn't him. But I believe that it's not outside the realm of possibility that these devoted and highly spiritual or seeking individuals, that what they were learning from the sages and the rabbis of their time, right? The Pharisees and the scribes, Hapushim, right? And that's what they were. That's what later became the dominant, if you will, Jewish rabbinic religion. Because of the exile, because of destruction, these are the people who later are quoted in the Mishnah, debated in the Talmud, and later on, those who continued their ways, right? Tanaim, Amoraim, Savoraim, Geonim, Rishonim, Achronim, it's all continuing the same chain of tradition of rabbis, Pharisees, right? Purushim. Now, there's a difference on opinion on whether the Chazal, our sages, were indeed the Purushim, whether some of them were Purushim and some of them were not, and I wouldn't know. Like I said, I'm not an academic, but what do I think of his conversion to being a Christian? I think that he found something amazing, but that it caused him to veer off of Torah in his true and honest desire to spread the good word to the nations and to the Hebrews. He went off-road. Now, if you're saying that he went off-road just because of the nations, because the nations are not they're not bound by the laws of Torah. So to them, he can say all kinds of stuff. In the letter to the Hebrews, which I've read twice, he said, I'm not quoting him, but the things that he said do not match up precisely with what I would consider to be Torah, at least not written Torah, at the time. You see what I'm saying? But. I've only read the New Testament once. I read the letter to the Hebrews twice, once way before I read the New Testament. Someone simply told me I should read it, or someone showed me on the street in Amsterdam. Someone showed me a passage that spoke of the king being the high priest and that Yeshua is both. And I said, yes, but we saw that with the Hashmonai dynasty, the fact that they were priests and the fact that they were kings, it didn't go well. After the first and second, what would it be? Like the progeny, right? After the first and second continuation of the dynasty, after the miracle of Hanukkah and the purification of the temple, they started to go really, really wrong. And so we see that kings and priests don't necessarily live together. The tribe of Levi should go with the Levitical business, other tribes should go with their business, and one of those businesses might be being a king. The tribe of Judah more specifically, to those who want to be more exact. But, so that's what I think. I think that he converted, if you will. I think that he found something in a Messiah that he thought transcended death itself. So I understand what he's talking about, but I think that it simply goes against the Torah. We are 2 super chats away from me dressing up like a cow in a cow onesie, and I hope it'll happen. I'll tell you. I need to think of some good puns, or people give me some good cow puns that I should. Let's go back to the regular chat. Hang on. Boom. Okay, that was the super chats. Dubious is an ethno religion. Okay, House, I'm not sure who you're talking to, but okay. Jews are an ethno-religious group. But if that were true, how would we accept converts? It makes 0 sense. The only 2 people who are not allowed to convert are males of the nation of Moab and males of the nation of Ammon. And neither one of those nations is currently in existence in the sense that we know who they are. So if it's an ethno-religion, maybe, because we came from a certain ethnic background of the Middle East, but you can join the religion at any given moment. You can convert to the Hebrew faith. And so, how do you reconcile when you say Jews are an ethno-religious group, but anybody can convert and join that group? So what is it? They're talking about your beard. Okay, what about it? Zigzags or wrappers for weed, says J-Dad. I still don't know what zigzags are. I mean, I know what they are sort of geometrically, if you will. Day James Bong is here. Woohoo! Hey, James Bong. Love will keep us together. Yes, love will keep us together indeed. We have to look within, says Michelle. Yes, Michelle. The Holy Land of the Creator is within our own minds. When you synchronize the left and right brain, King Solomon. Yes, you know what? This idea of the Holy Land, it is more of a state of mind, because you can argue over whether or not it's, the borders of Greater Israel were never actually drawn out. And it is, in fact, not precisely clear whether or not this, where we are now, is that Holy Land. Some people say it's Africa, some people say it's Mesopotamia, or around the area closer to where Mesopotamia was. But yeah, to have that Creator and that land, right, the Holy Land of the Creator is within our minds, much like the temple, right? We are the original temple. And before there was a Holy Land, there was humanity and the divine revelation. It's that simple, right? It's Eden. And of course, I say this every time, we were kicked out of Eden temporarily, but the more elements of Eden that we incorporate into our daily life, the more we will be able to actually raise ourselves up as individuals, as a collective, as a global human earthling thing, and raise up and rise up. Zen says, what is a Nazarite? Is a man or woman of the Hebrew tribes who has taken on a Nazarite vow. That's what it is. Are you from Palestine, says Zach the Gamer? Well, the Romans called it Palestine, and it was the British mandate of Palestine. So yes, I am. And if I was, before the establishment of the State of Israel, I would have had a Palestinian passport. So yes, I am from Palestine. Are you Ashkenazi Jew, says David? Yes, my heritage is from Judea, and then kicked out to Europe, then we went to the States, and then we came back to Judea. I mean, over the course of like 2,000 years. But yeah, I'm just a Hebrew man. That whole, people differentiate as Sephardic, Yemeni, Moroccan, Ashkenazi. It's too much division. Too much division. That's why I'm just saying I'm a regular Hebrew man. C.H. King, where are you from? I'm in Jerusalem, King, and where are you from? Where are you from, indeed? I would love to know. Annexing Gaza is the way, says Burning47. We had the chance. We didn't do it. And Egypt didn't want to annex Gaza either in the peace accords with Israel. So, I mean, look, so much of Gaza has been destroyed. Hamas needs to be destroyed, or they need to surrender and lay down their arms. But we don't necessarily need to annex Gaza. I would love it if the actual innocent Palestinians, whether it's in the West Bank of the Jordan, Judea, Samaria, or Gaza, if there are actually, and I do believe there are, actually innocent victims of war that they didn't want and they didn't start, and they're under the thumb of their oppressive, bloodthirsty, warmongering leadership, religious extremists of a death cult that is Hamas, and they're stuck between a rock and a hard place with the IDF over here and Hamas over here. What's a person to do? A person who just wants to live out his or her life, raise a family, make some money, live, laugh, love, eat, fart, and die, that's pretty much it. What's a person to do? Yes, religion, not religion. What we need is to just de-radicalize both sides, not necessarily annexing Gaza, though that may have been a smart move when the war just broke out. It may have been a smart move, maybe not. I don't know. I'm not a military strategist. I'm not a military analyst. Muslim says East Jerusalem was Jordan, Mary was Jordanian. Yes, from 1948 till 1967, Jordan was in charge of East Jerusalem, Egypt was in charge of Gaza. That much is correct, and they did nothing to establish a Palestinian state, actually. But okay. Live, love, eat, fart, and die. Well, yeah, pretty much, right? Oh, and, Torah, commandments, covenant, all that stuff. Look at the nose on you, says Kaziksa. Yeah, you're darn tootin' right. I got the Jewish schnoz, and I love it. The schnozzer, says Gavin. Yeah, indeed. The bloodthirsty savages are the IDF. That has not been my experience, because the IDF have not blown up any buses. The IDF have not knifed civilians in the street. The IDF are fighting in a defensive war against insurmountable odds in urban warfare. And if you actually look at the numbers and the stats of urban warfare, we have the least amount of non-combatant to combatant ratio of death. And it's Hamas who unfortunately use their own population as cannon fodder, and they put their training facilities and rocket launchers and munitions and armaments in schools and mosques and hospitals and private homes, and they dig tunnels. They took billions of dollars in aid from the US, from Europe, from other countries. I know Europe is not a country, right? European countries and the US and many others, all of North America, right? Canada too. And they spent it not on infrastructure, not on taking care of their civilians. No, let's invest it all in terror tunnels and in amassing more weapons and paying our freedom fighters and the families of our shaheeds. Yes, the martyrs. So yeah. That's my dream, says James Mong. Start a family and get old enjoying it. You know what? And I'm living that dream, and I'm so very thankful. On that note, a few seconds to give gratitude to you, good people. Those watching now, those watching later. The likes, the subs, the views, the super chats, the super thanks, everything here is so wonderful, so amazing, and I don't take it for granted that you are taking time out of your busy day, your busy night, your busy life, your busy schedule to listen to my rants, rambles, raves, and brain farts. And it is lovely to have discourse with you. It is lovely to engage with you. It is lovely to learn from you. And those who are telling me to kill myself, those who are telling me to shave, those who are telling me to smell, those talking about my nose or my hair or my beard, I love it. I love it. I love it. It nourishes me. It strengthens me, whether it's the trolls or whether it's the encouraging ones, whether it's the ones who are spamming, the ones who are hating, the ones who are actually engaging in questions and discourse. It's all so good, and I love doing this. And let's give a bit of gratitude for the little things, the simple things. I could be doing anything else right now, and so could you, but you're here with me now. It's live, it's raw, it's magical. We're discussing faith, religion, self-development, and spirituality and farts. So, it can't get any better than that. And I'm here in Jerusalem, in my home. The kids are asleep. I have a cup of tea. And all is awesome right now. Where in so many other places in the world, in my very neighborhood, even right now at this very moment, somebody might be collapsing. Someone might be stubbing their toe. Someone might be getting sick. Someone might be losing a loved one or getting a horrible phone call or undergoing some tragedy, mental or physical. People are going through so many things all the time. It doesn't take a lot. You just have to scratch right below the surface to find out exactly what kind of suffering people are undergoing in their lives. And this is true to every one of us to some degree. But if I can sit here right now and converse with you and broadcast with you and be here with you, and I am here with you, there's an energy in the live stream, and that's why I love going live. And if I can be here with you in Jerusalem with a cup of tea, I don't know what will happen in 5 minutes, 5 seconds, 500 years, but right now, here and now, things are so very good. I give thanks to the Most High God. I give thanks to you, good people, for being here with me. The gratitude attitude is also the road to many good things. Hey, we are one step away from the cow onesie. I've seen your podcast and it is in Hebrew. What do you guys talk about there? And can you guys do one in English? Well, the guy that I was on a podcast a week ago here in Israel. And wait, hang on a second. Okay. I was on a podcast here in Israel. And by the way, all the comments there, someone says I'm mentally ill. 2 people called me a Christian. 2 or 3 people said that the Nazarite ship doesn't exist anymore. This is precisely why I wanted to go on that guy's podcast. Because you know what? It might really, I look weird to people, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm mentally ill. I mean, we're all a little mentally ill. I know I am. But you know what I'm saying. And just because I have long hair and no yarmulke doesn't mean I'm a Christian. And just because I'm a Nazarite does not mean I'm a Christian monk or a priest, or I don't know where they get this from. And people who are saying that the Nazarite ship has no place in today's world also have no idea what they're talking about, because they associate the Nazarite ship, Nazirut, with Buddhism and with Catholicism, and it's not that way at all. Not at all. So what do you guys talk about there? We talk Torah, we talk about the nature of redemption and what it means, and I, as always, go on the level of the individual, where redemption is going back to the root, and we discussed just a little bit of the people of Israel and how they can achieve redemption as a group, where again I said it's the individual. I have no idea how it will happen. And we discussed the Nazarite vow. Hey, another super chat came in. Did we reach our goal? Hang on a second. Yes, we reached our goal. Hey, let's do this. Okay. Now hang on. Give me a sec. It's all happening, people. It's all happening. Give me a second. All right. I'm going to take off the hat. And okay, here I am. Wait. Yeah, there we go. I need to be able to look. Okay. No, come on. I need to be able to see it. All right. Here we go. Perfect. The word perfect in Hebrew is mushlam, so mushlam. Okay. Here, wait. Oh, I've got the udders and everything. Here, wait. Let me show you my cow titties. Okay, cool. Now, let's see. Oh, I love this. Thank you, people, for the chat. Thank you for the super chat. It all goes to charity. I haven't been paid yet, but it will be going to charity as soon as YouTube pays me, and it's lovely. Look at my hooves there. Huh? There are also hooves at the bottom. Thank you, Matthew. So you know what? Let's give a really awesome shout out to everyone here in the chat who contributed. Assalamu alaikum wa alaikum salam Mohad Sabir. Kif halak? He will do anything for money. Yes, I will do anything for money. Anything for money. Actually, people told me I gotta do something about this. Here we go. People told me that if I dress up, here we go. People told me that if I dress up and go to the old city and take photos with people for money as Jesus, that I could rake in so much money. J-Dad says, we need human animal meat, but there are scientists making them in a lab right now, so we don't have to kill anymore. Yes, that's good. Now, I'm a vegan. I've been vegan for about 15 years, and people have asked me, would you eat meat if it's lab grown and no animals were harmed? And so I say, even though that would take a lot out of it, right, out of the reasons why I'm vegan, I think, would want to eat what comes from the earth. האם אתה עוקב אחרי התלמוד, says Ninob. Do you follow the Talmud? He asked me in Hebrew. So once again, I grew up Orthodox in Jerusalem. I no longer keep strict halacha, but there is no such thing as following the Talmud. The Talmud is discussions. You mean, I think, do you follow rabbinic law, halacha, right? The other parts of the Talmud are myth and lore and legend and different opinions, but things to do with halacha, this is actually what came out of the Talmud as far as something you can follow. Do you see what I'm saying? Oh yeah, mock Jesus, you fucking Jew. You want me to mock Jesus? Why would I want to do that? It could very well be, as I've said many times, that if I was around at the time when he lived, I would have followed him myself and been happy to call him rabbi, to call him master. Let's continue. Wow, says Logan. Yeah, I know, right? What's the smallest animal you worried about? Randy says, the smallest animal I worried about, well, probably an ant. If I see a row of ants, I would take caution not to step on them, right? There are the people who walk with a jangle stick. With the jangle stick, I don't remember who they are who walk with it. With a jangle stick, they walk with a kind of stick with a kind of like a broom, and they sweep the path before them as they walk so they don't step on any living thing. There are people who do that. This man hasn't hammered any religion, says Thomas. What do you mean by hammered religion? I'm curious. I don't know what that means. What about the red heifer? Good question, House. What about the red heifer? We're still waiting for the red heifer, and then we will burn the red heifer, and then it will be slaughtered, it will be burned, we will take the ashes, put it in the water, take hyssop, and then we will be able to purify ourselves ritually from defilement of death. And the Rabbi Nazarite Yehoshua Friedman, who wrote the book Nezir Elohim, and I met with him in the old city, and it was lovely. We spoke for a couple of hours. This was 4 years ago. And his contention, his opinion, is that it is actually Nazarite priests who have not been defiled by death, and who have transcended, at least through the course of the vow, by virtue of taking the vow, have transcended the impurity of death. They will be the ones who will facilitate that purification for all of Israel. And I think that's pretty awesome. Have you studied the New Testament? Taylor asks. I've read it once, so definitely have not studied it. I've only read it once. Oh, I meant, doesn't the red heifer conflict with the vegan ideal, says House? No, as far as I'm concerned, well, obviously you don't eat from it, so it doesn't dietarily, is that a word? As far as the diet is concerned, no, it doesn't conflict. But as far as harming animals, I suppose, it does. The thing is that I feel like we can transcend all of that. We can transcend the temple, we can transcend the priests, the ritual worship, and all of that. And we won't need to have this. However, if there is a red heifer, then it could very well be that she will die of old age, and then she will be burned. Though I don't know if halacha might state that she must be slaughtered, but I'm not sure about that. It could be I'm wrong. Oh, we know what we're talking about, says Block 2, Blocks 3. Block 2, Blocks 3? So, no, it doesn't conflict with the veganism as far as I'm concerned. Why do you Jews lie about being white, says Kaziksa. I don't think I've ever said I'm white. I am whatever color you want me to be. I'm black and white. Anything but work with this freeloader, says fuck YouTube. Really? I worked today. I was home. I worked from home today, and now I'm doing this. Problem? I'm very thankful that I have a career where I can set my own hours. I can work from the office or I can work from home. And I have my bosses have complete confidence and faith in me. As long as I deliver and as long as I keep to my deadlines, then they are off my case. They give me full creative freedom. And my editor is also awesome. So that's great. But thank you for saying that I'm a freeloader. I'm definitely not a freeloader. I'm happy to work for a living. I see it as see it as a duty and a responsibility and a privilege, because some people can't get a job, and some people, they have only a job and it's a dead-end, minimum wage, soul-crushing job, and I've had a few of those in my life as well. So I know very, very well what it means, and I've been unemployed a couple of times in my life for a few months, so I know what it's like to look for a job. I know what it's like to have a dead-end, soul-sucking, minimum wage job, and I know now, thank God, for over a decade now, what it's like to have an actual career and to progress and to have people value you and value the work that you put in. Now, the company I work for, I don't think there's any real loyalty there at the end of the day. They can fire me, I can leave, but definitely, there's a lot there. And I'm their first employee. They started the company, it was a startup company, and I was their first employee. So there's a history there. Cube, hey Cube, good to see you, man. Good to see you. Thank you for the donation. Cool, he says. That's nice. Do you have a guilty conscience, says Shokat. No, I have shame, but not guilt. Because through therapy, I was in therapy for, I'm in therapy now again, but 13 years ago I was in therapy for about 3 years, and through it I discovered that guilt is not good for me. It causes me to spiral down into sadness and not full-blown like depression, but to bad places in my life. Shame, there is a good facet of shame and a negative, bad facet of shame, and I do my best to feel shameful in the positive and encouraging way if I transgress, and when I do things that I feel are not things I would want to do, and ways in which I need to better myself mentally and physically. So I don't have a guilty conscience. I have a shamed conscience, and I mean that in the positive sense, where I don't feel guilt. I also try to act in ways where guilt won't come into my life, of course. But, no, there's no guilt. There's shame. Shame for me is productive. Shame is something I can build off of. Shame, right, is a springboard from which I can jump to better myself. But guilt, with my personality and with the way that I live my life, I have found, and maybe I'll change, who knows, but I have found that guilt really causes me to spiral down into sadness. Seawag says, a Jew with an actual job? Yeah, right. You live on welfare like all Hasidic people. Well, first of all, I'm not a Hasid, so I'm not one of the Hasidic people, though there are certain Hasidic practices that I implement in my life. I've never been a Hasid, I've never had a Hasidic rabbi, and I don't keep a strict halacha anymore, and Hasids keep strict halacha. Hasids keep the halacha of their master, of their rabbi, or of their rebbe. So, I do actually have not a job, a career, and I differentiate because by the grace of God, I have a career. Fuck off says, is it fuck off? I'm sorry. Yes, it is. Do your thing, no need to explain to nobody. That's right. That is absolutely right. We have a synagogue in my town, says David, but it's not used. Well, what kind of a synagogue is it? I mean, what community was in it at the time? Gavin said, I'd ask what he has to feel guilty about, but I'm just going to assume he's talking about the baby foreskin he's been munching on. Once again, once the foreskin is cut off, it's buried in sand, right? I took the foreskins of my children and I buried them in the earth. I did not put them in my mouth. I did not chew on them. However, I've been through this before with people. If there were like deep-fried, barbecue-flavored foreskins in a bag, maybe I would. I mean, it doesn't exactly sit right with me. Were they my own kids' foreskins or random strangers' foreskins? Were they Hebrew foreskins, right? Or Gentile foreskins? That might matter as well. But, deep-fried barbecue-flavored foreskin, come on, that just sounds good. It just sounds so good. But we don't eat people or parts of people, so the Torah is kind of against that, so I wouldn't do that, yeah. I don't think I would, but it's an interesting thought, is it not? Is it not? Meadow says, bro, WTF. Indeed. Josh says, if they weren't sitting around studying, would people even have the knowledge to try to make fun? Shut the fuck up and leave them alone? The priests have specific jobs. Josh, I'm not sure who you're talking to or what you mean, but okay. Do you hate Muslims? Batu says, no, I do not hate Muslims. We believe Allah is only God. Hello from Turkey. Hello. Salam alaikum. No, I definitely don't hate Muslims. Correct, Jews aren't white, says House. Only leftists calls Jews white to critique Israel. Critique Israel. Jews are in a completely different DNA cluster to Europeans. People are just ignorant. Yes, now look, there are also Europeans who converted and who brought other like blood and genetics and looks into the Hebrew people and into our tribes. So people say I look European, people say I look Semitic, people say I look like a cow. Well, I mean they do now. How come you can't freely criticize Jews today, says MK8. What are you talking about? Everybody can criticize Jews. You can criticize Jews, you can criticize Israel, you can criticize Zionism. The question is the reasoning behind it. If you actually give a coherent argument on why it's X, why Y, and why Z, then sure, then we can have a discourse. Then it's just not baseless hatred. But if you criticize like the state of Israel, by all means do it. You want to criticize the Jewish faith or religion or facets of the Bible or the oral Torah, by all means do it. But at least be open to having a discussion rather than just making these sweeping general statements that amount to bigotry and hatred. That's what I don't get. You see what I'm saying? Okay, let's continue. Israel shouldn't exist, says Lewis. You are not alone in thinking this. I think Israel definitely should exist. You could make the argument, and people do, that this particular reincarnation of Israel is not divine mandated, and so it has no merit. People say that this is a secular state, unwanted and undesired, and going against the eyes of God, right, in the eyes of God, but it actually does exist, whether you think it or not, and way before the Balfour Declaration, and certainly then and afterwards, there's a reason why people said, yeah, those Hebes need a home. And that's the state of Israel. We were offered different places, but we did not want to settle. Now that may have been a mistake. Maybe it would have been better to settle for Argentina or Uganda or someplace in the Soviet Union or somewhere in Australia in the wasteland there. I don't know. But we are here, surrounded by enemies. We have peace accords with a couple of them, and we will continue, God willing, and make peace with our enemies. Peace is made between rivals. Peace is made between enemies. It can happen by way of the sword, and it can happen by way of love and acceptance and a warm embrace. And I pray to the Most High God that it would be the latter and not the former, and that we will be able to arrive, right, and build bridges and find common ground and de-radicalize both sides. Okay. Zach says, are you Jewish? Yes, I am. I am Muslim, and Allah told us to respect all religions. I'm just wondering. Yes, I am indeed. I am indeed Jewish, of the house of Levi, of the kingdom of Judah. Don't ask where the milk comes from. That's right. Tell lies all you want, says MZ. Yes, I think I will. The thing is that what you consider... No. There are wastelands in Australia, like entire deserts that are unpopulated. Oh, what is it called? The Kimberley? There's a place, the Kimberley, like a vast... I didn't say Australia is a wasteland. I said the wastelands of Australia. But it's not a wasteland. It's like an expanse of desert and uninhabited land. So I'm sorry, not wasteland, but uninhabited land. You're right to call me out on the terminology. Thank you, Allah's boot. Thank you for that. That is actually true. I said wasteland, but I meant barren land, no man's land, right? As for Israel being a wasteland, it definitely was before the Hebes started to come en masse and actually make the land prosper, right? And we have made the land prosper. We have made it prosperous. And I mean us and everyone else living here, not just the Jews. Everyone living here is playing their part and doing their thing. Okay. Seawag says they like gold and shiny things and will start wars for it. Yeah, we're like the Nifflers in Harry Potter, right? We like shiny objects. So, but this is the only gold that I have right now. Noiselike says Jesus was just a Jewish dude that claimed to be Messiah. 60 other men also Jewish who claimed the same. Yes, there's always people claiming to be Messiah. Even right now in Israel, there are several people, and more than several, claiming they are the Messiah. Definitely abroad. But the thing is this, do we merit their revelation? And will they be accepted? Will there be a consensus? Who will give them the crown? And who will accept their sovereignty? Who will anoint them if we need to anoint them, and we don't always need to anoint them according to rabbinic law, but if an anointing ceremony is to take place, What will they anoint them with? And who will be anointing? Will they be accepted? So there's a little too much division right now in the people of Israel. And what we need more than anything is to come together, to come together. Matthew says, how was your time in the Netherlands and what were you doing there? My woman was studying for her master's in theater. What stood out as the biggest difference in daily life versus Jerusalem? The fact that over there aren't people trying to kill me and the news isn't horrible. There are no wars. There are no soldiers and cops everywhere with assault rifles. That's the biggest difference. There was a vibe there that was very chill and a lot less stressful, not only because herb is legal there, but also because it's Europe. And Europe already had their wars, and they decided, we are done. No more war. Let's form a union. Let's try to live together. Despite thousands of years of conquest and bloodshed, they were able to frickin' do it. That gives me so much hope. That gives me so much hope. Definitely does. Okay, so that's the biggest difference, just the vibe. It was a lot more chill. Jerusalem has this tense energy about it, spiritual as well, but it comes, it's definitely. Dude claims, please, says Muslim. What claims? I don't know what you're talking about. Did you know some prophets in Islam spoke Hebrew? Yes, there was Musa. That's practically, right, Moshe. So yes. Ever faced discrimination in your daily life, says Sirhat. Look, here in Israel, I'm a Jew, right? I'm a Hebrew, and I'm the majority. So no discrimination there. As for the Netherlands, I don't think so. But I also went through Corona there. So there was like a year and a half of just staying at home, or a year, I don't know, of staying at home. But no, I have not, I don't think I've faced discrimination in everyday, like in daily life, at least not on a daily basis, see? So even if it was going on, it wasn't something recurring for me. Why are you guys so hateful towards Jesus, says Yo Harashi. Have I been? I don't think I've said anything hateful other than the fact that I consider him a dead man, and that's not hateful. That's just, as far as I'm concerned, a truth, a fact. And again, even if you say that he was resurrected and ascended, he's still not Messiah, and he's not king, he's not Son of God, but that's not hateful. That's simply what I think about the man. I don't hate him. Why are you guys, I'm assuming you mean Jews and not cows, why are Jewish cows so hateful towards Jesus? Because of Christianity, not because of Jesus. Because of Christianity that followed and persecuted Jews for a very, very, very long time. So that's why. That's what I would say. That's not a red cow, says DJD. No, it's not a red cow. I'm just a regular cow. What is your opinion on Sabbatianism? Well, if you're talking about Shabbatai Tzvi, my opinion is that he was a great sage and a great scholar and a lovely Kabbalist until he just went right off the rails. He went off the rails, and he took a lot of people with him, people who had put their faith in him, people who had really put a lot of stock in him. And he let the people down, even before he converted to Islam, right? He let people down. Now, he said, I think he claimed to be the Messiah, and I think that Natan Ha'azati, his main disciple, also claimed this is Messiah. People all over the world, Jews all over the world were excited, they were happy, they were really joyous at the prospect of deliverance and redemption and everything that a final Messiah would entail. Not necessarily any Messiah, because, king lives, a king dies, but the final Messiah supposed to liberate, the Jews from whatever oppression they were under in the nations, if they were, to bring them together, gather them in the Holy Land, build the temple, fight Amalek if they know who they are, return the people to Torah and commandments, all of that. And then when it didn't happen, there was a great, great sort of reckoning and a breaking apart within the Jews all over the world, definitely in Europe. So my opinion, what is it? Oh, you did say opinion. So my opinion is that it started off as a great thing and then went right off the rails. Also, the problem was that after that happened, things happened like Jakob Frank, right, and the Frankists, and all of that. It just took everything in such, off-road, really off-road. And they took these sort of Mosaic, Torah, Kabbalistic ideals that are ideals, these ideas and ideals, and they warped them, twisted them, perverted them for the best of reasons, right? To bring Messiah, to bring redemption, to have the entire world come back to God through the virtue of being us all sinners. It's like, that's not the way to go. It might happen, but it's not the way to go. Why are you dressed as a cow, says Mutant. That reminds me of Monty Python. Why are you dressed as a tiger? I'm dressed as a cow because this is today's goal. It was 15 out of 15 super chats, and we have since gone past 15, and so at 15 I dressed up as a cow. That was the super chat goal for today. Who is the best prophet in Judaism in your opinion? Ooh, good question, Meadow. I mean, my mind goes to Moses, the father of prophets. But who is the best one? Who is the best prophet? I would say Abraham. It's either Moses or Abraham, as far as I'm concerned, who are the best prophets. Moses, because, he's sort of the ideal as the father of prophets. His revelation was unique, so I have nothing to aspire to in that sense. But to feel that closeness with the divine revelation is something that I can aspire to, right? The patriarchs, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, they knew God and the revelation of God in El Shaddai, but not in Adonai, not in Yod He Vav He. And Moses got the revelation of Ehyeh Asher Ehyeh at the burning bush. So he's on a whole other level, quite literally. But I think Abraham, right? Avram, he was one man who went with his truth, who did his thing, who went against the traditions of his household. And he decided, nope, I'm going all in. I'm going all in. I'm leaving everything I know. And I'm hearkening to the voice of revelation of God that is telling me to leave my house, leave my father's tent, right? Leave my homeland and go to the place that I will show you and have faith. Now, it's not a must to have faith according to a lot of different scholars. What you need to do is perform the commandments and carry them out. Faith and belief is almost secondary because we are a doing religion, right? It's a religion, let's say, of doing, of action, of carrying out the covenant, not necessarily of simple belief. So, Abraham was both. He was a great believer, and he was a great doer, and he turned his back on an old tradition, and he decided, nope, I'm going to go all in on this. This is what I feel is right. Also, very famously, it says in the Mishnah, or is it the Talmud? I think it's the Mishnah, that since Abraham, right, had no rabbi, his kidneys became his rabbi. His kidneys, internally, he was learning Torah from his own being, from his own organs, right? So to speak. Now, the kidneys act as filters. The kidneys act, right? It's the place where the primary thing that later becomes urine, right? It's a place of discernment. And I love that about the story of Avram. So I think the best prophet, I think I would say Avram, right? Later, Avram, Abraham, later Abraham. Yeah. Believed in one God, says Muslim, spoke in Iraqi, Sumerian. Yeah, he was from Mesopotamia, but he turned his back on that. How come God didn't stay as the name El Shaddai, says Dot Fatty? Dot? Is it Dot Fatty? Yes. He still is. The names El and Shaddai correspond to two different sfirot in the tree of life, as does Elohim, as does Adonai, right? As does Ehyeh. These are all names that bespeak a certain divine attribute, a certain divine revelation. So God did indeed stay as El Shaddai. However, there was a revelation to the people of Israel at the time that came from Yod He Vav He, specifically, right? Because that incorporates more of a past, present, and future. Whereas El Shaddai, it's a little bit different, right? The relationships between the two names, El and Shaddai, it speaks a different divine revelation than Yod He Vav He. That's what I'm saying. Abraham and Ishmael built the Kaaba. Yes, exactly. In Islam, in Mecca, right? There's the Kaaba, the big black stone. Yes, that's what they say. That's definitely what they say. I don't know if it's true or not. I don't know if anything is true or not. But yeah. He was doing human sacrifice and the angels had to intervene, says Zihilal. Hey, good to see you again. Abraham was a caveman, says Zihilal. Yes, he was. He grew up a caveman. Now, some sages say that he started discovering the root, right, of the monotheistic way, of the way of the Hebrew God at age 3, and some say he was much older, but either way, he was in his 70s, right? I think he was in his 70s, if I'm not mistaken, when he got the call to go to leave his father's house, right? How old was he? Right? Yes, I think he was in his 70s or close to 80. Something like that. Moo moo moo, says Mohit. Indeed. Speaking of Mohit, it makes me think of a mojito, and I don't drink alcohol, but I never tried a mojito. I would have liked to try one sometime. But okay. Shady says, I don't think it's enough. They are in the storm in a what? WTF, the neighbor's gonna get mad and tell you turn it down? Oh, no, you're talking to someone else. I don't know what you're saying. Sorry. Let's continue. Prophet Abraham, peace be upon him, was also thrown into a huge fire. Yes, that's right, Kenny. That's what's said. It's said that he was thrown into a huge fire and that it was actually Nimrod, right? It was actually Nimrod who came before him that did it, so they say. Ooh, a super chat came in. He was 40? No, he wasn't 40. Oh, I'm sorry, you're talking about 40, not when he left Ur-Kasdim in Mesopotamia. You mean when he discovered who God was. Yes, maybe he was 40, that's right. 40 is a major number also in the Hebrew faith. Can you explain Yod He Vav He more, says JP, also known as the Tetragrammaton. Yod He Vav He is seen in one way, but spoken in another. Yod He Vav He is known as the root name. It corresponds to all of the 10 Sfirot, from the tip of the Yod till the tiny leg of the He. The name Yod He Vav He is the higher, right? The higher father and mother are Yod He, also known as the higher masculine and the higher feminine revelation. And Vav He is the lower masculine and the lower feminine, also known as son and daughter, or bride and groom, or, well, or beloved and bride. Acid is one hell of a drug, says Fire Bandit. Oh, it really, really is. I haven't done acid in a... When was the last time I did acid? It's been a few years. Yes, it is one hell of a drug, and it's lovely. Always respect your substances. Always maintain proper set and setting. Always use caution and discernment, whether you're doing it for recreational reasons or ritualistic reasons. Now, most people don't use acid ritualistically. They'll use DMT or ayahuasca, right? Psilocybin or cannabis. But maybe you can do it with lysergic acid diethylamide. I don't know. But yeah, acid is truly one hell of a drug. It has always treated me well, and I have loved it. I did it only a handful of times in my life, but I've always had really great trips with anything, thank God. Anything psychedelic that I've done, it's always been pretty good. So more on Yod He Vav He. Yod He Vav He encompasses everything. Yod He Vav He is Haya Hove V'Yihye. This is not an acronym, but it bespeaks the nature of the name, which encapsulates all of the 10 Sfirot from crown to kingdom, or crown to kingship, from Keter to Malchut, where where Keter would be the tip of the Yod, Chochma is the Yod, Bina is the He, Tiferet is the Vav, Malchut is the He. So again, 4 corresponding to higher and lower, feminine and masculine. Yod He Vav He is also called Shem HaMeforash, or at least according to some, meaning the explicit name. This is a name that we see one way, but read or speak another way. We see Yod He Vav He, but what we speak is Adonai, Aleph Daled Nun Yod, right? And so Yod He Vav He is the masculine, Adonai or Adonut, as it's known, right? Adonai, the name Adonai, is the feminine. When we bring them together, right, by looking at the Yod He Vav He, but reading it Adonai, we bring together unity of masculine and feminine divine presence. The combination of Yod He Vav He is 26. That is also the numerical value of Echad and Ahava, meaning one love. What else can I say about the Tetragrammaton? There's a ton that I could say, right? A lot of different like esoteric things that maybe popped into my head, but tell me, what is it that you think? Tell me what. I suppose that's enough for now. You gay, says Mr. Mingles? Yes, I'm gay, I'm straight, I'm a lesbian, I'm bi, I'm non-binary, and I'm a two-spirit pigeon. That's what I go with. I gotta go by, I don't hate you, I hate the war in Gaza. Zihilel, thank you for staying. I don't hate you either, I hate the war in Gaza as well. Maybe Hamas and the other terrorist groups can, I don't know, lay down their arms, surrender, we can have peace, stop murdering Jews, Israelis, Zionists, Just knock it off and we can have peace. Josh says, I messaged Egypt to let them into Egypt. If cleared by IDF, they may not stay. It's for Israel. I don't know what? Well, maybe you said something else before. I don't know. Kirsch says Yahweh was an ancient Hebrew idol. Well, let's put it this way. Even if there was a revelation that some people took in an idolatry sort of way, the people of Israel, the 12 tribes, are commanded and warned not to make idols or images, and not to make out of creation the creator. So God has no form, God has no image, God has no being, God has no existence in the same way that we would say existence. God is unreachable, unfathomable, unknowable, untouchable, unthinkable, inconceivable. And everything that we know is but revelations of God, clothings in which God reveals himself. Just like I am revealing myself to be a cow right here. Sarah says, do you see non-Jews as equals? Yes, I do. We are very much equals. Each and every one of us made in the image of God. Each and every one of us capable of amazing things if we only bring the image of God into being and speak it forward in our lives and carry it out in the world. Moo, I love milk, says Honda. Well, here you go. Have some milk. What do you say about the claim that Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh is a pagan god? I say that different names were sort of made kosher by the Israelites, but they were taken originally from the pantheon of the different religions that were around at the time. And those religions were polytheistic. And so they took certain names and they made them into Hebrew names that represent not different deities, but are different revelations of one Hebrew God. Do you see what I'm saying? So they took names that had already previously existed and they made them into part of the Hebrew way in a kosher sort of way because they believed that these forces were indeed part of creation, but they didn't see them as gods, but as manifestations of one God, revelations, influences, emanations, ways in which God is revealed in the world. But it's one Hebrew God. The revelation is fragmented, not the deity. The revelation is fragmented, not the deity. And that's why the rainbow is such an important covenant, because that is indeed broken, pure light. And it means that there's an origin, right, like a rainbow, and we are broken light. And in the context of this conversation of the rainbow, I always bring up Leonard Cohen in his song Anthem, ring the bells that still can ring, forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. The rainbow is supposed to say something to us. The rainbow says something to the divine revelation that is forgetful. We are all simply broken light. Our origin is pure and white and true, and we are broken light. That's what you get for being in this world. So to claim that Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh is a pagan god may be a true claim to those who are pagans. To the Hebrews, Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh is one of the names of the Hebrew God, the main name. So God spoke to Moses in Egyptian. Well, there may have been a revelation of God speaking in a language that Moses could understand. It's been said that Moses knew many languages. It's also been said that Moses was a king in Africa from ages 40 till 80. That is, from the time he fled Egypt until the time he made the comeback to Egypt. I did that on your mom's face, says the real Paimai. Okay. That's a little disturbing. Why would you want to do that? But okay, if there's a scenario, I just don't want to know about it. But hey, good for you, right? Why are you wearing a cow suit? Says Charlie, because it was today's super chat goal in the live chat. Did Moses speak Japanese? I don't know if Moses spoke Japanese. You watch movies, what's your hobby, says Sarat. I do watch movies. I'm a screenwriter. I don't do it for a living, but I went to film school. I write films, I write TV shows, and I hope to get things produced. Well, nothing has been produced yet, but I have not given up hope on being produced. My hobbies, I play guitar and I do this. So this is nice. And, other hobbies? I don't know if there are other hobbies, really. But yes, I do watch movies. I'm a fan of movies. As a screenwriter, I don't watch enough movies. I don't. I don't watch enough Israeli films, and I don't watch enough, foreign films. I don't watch enough Hollywood films. I don't watch enough indie films. I just don't watch enough films or television. But maybe in some way it's okay because it influences me less that way. So the ideas that I have in the scripts that I write, I suppose could come more from me with less of an outside influence. So there's a detriment and a benefit to watching less TV and less movies. A Jew writing movies, LOL, says Mr. Mingles. Yeah, I know, it's very... Why did they stone gays in the Bible, says Joshua. Well, first of all, it's not simply enough to be gay. What would get you stoned in the Bible is anal sex between two men. Not simply being attracted to someone, not having romantic feelings with someone, hell, not even living with a guy, not even oral sex would get you stoned. I think it may get you flogged, but not stoned to death. But I don't remember the halacha, so don't, I might be wrong about that. But the people who were stoned to death, also, I don't think that it's stoning. There are 4 different ways in which Sanhedrin put people to death. I don't think that is it stoning? It may be stoning. I don't recall. But the idea is that the male, the masculine, right, represents a certain divine revelation. The woman, the feminine, represents a certain divine revelation. To insert the phallus, the penis, into the male rectum kind of goes against the unity that we are trying to bring into the world with the divine revelation of men and women, human beings, right, Hebrews, as men and women. Not that the nations don't do that, but I'm saying in the context of Torah, the nations don't have the Torah. The Torah was given to the Hebrews. The laws affect the Hebrews and not the nations. There's the whole conversation of the Noahide laws, but I digress. So they would stone. And the Sanhedrin, a Sanhedrin that would actually carry out a death penalty and execute someone, it would happen very, very rarely. And it's said that a Sanhedrin that would do it once every 7 or 70 years would be considered lethal. So it wasn't something that was done every Tuesday and Monday. Now, why would they stone them? Because anal penetration between 2 men, it's allowed between a man and a woman, incidentally, if the woman needs to agree. Right, there needs to be consent, but stuff between 2 guys is a prohibition by the Torah, because while physically it may make no difference, because hey, if you can have anal sex with a woman, why not have anal sex with a man? In both cases, you would be in both cases you would be doing the same thing. So we're saying that it must be said that there is a spiritual root to the physical action. The spiritual root to the physical action between a man and a woman in the sanctity of marriage and all that, that's one thing. But the spiritual root of the physical act of anal sex between 2 men is something that is not considered kosher in the Hebrew faith according to Torah. Because it's something that the nations around them did, and maybe that was something in which they wanted to be a part, just like with the way they dress and the way they talk and what they eat and how they pray and the fact that there's only one God, that's inconceivable, no idols. The Hebrew faith is different in a lot of ways from the faiths and doctrines and polytheism mainly, right, that was around at the time. And one of the things in which the Jews differentiated themselves is in who they have sex with and not how they have sex, when they have sex, purity and impurity when it comes to sex. So it just goes with that. Basically, it goes along with that. So that's why. All right, let's continue. E-Dog says, what makes you fart harder, grape leaves or falafel with coffee? I would say I'm not a fan of grape leaves, right? Grape leaves with rice. I'm not a fan of that. A Nazarite, incidentally, is not allowed to eat grapes, but he is allowed to partake of the leaves, but not of the fruit. So I would say falafel with coffee, but it depends on the falafel and the coffee for that matter. But yes, definitely. Definitely. Falafel with coffee would make me fart harder than grape leaves. Yes. Matthew says, do you think... Oh, whoops, it just jumped. Oh, there it is. How do you think Israel will deal with rebuilding the third temple, given it is being occupied by a different religion currently, especially since they've found a red heifer, but with only 2 wrong hairs? Well, if they did, then this is a great thing. It means that we can Purify ourselves ritually from defilement of death. And this opens up a whole, this opens up many avenues and potential for the future. Second of all, I will say, rebuilding this third temple is not a must. We are the temple. We are the sacrifice. We are the ritual worship, right? We made in the image of God. We need to go back to Eden. Even as only in the beginning as a mindset, let alone physically or metaphysically or spiritually, as a mindset. And in Eden, there was no temple, there were no priests, there was no sacrificial element, but there was us, human beings, nature, and the divine revelation. No religion, no faith, no doctrine, no borders, no cultures to differentiate us. That's how I think we'll deal with it. As for dealing with actually building the third temple, there are those who say it will come down already built from the heavens. There are those who say, no, the mosque will be there and the temple will be built on top of the mosque. And others say, no, the mosque will fall one way or another and we will build the temple on that land. But I don't know. I don't know how I think Israel will deal with it. If they will deal with it, and if we are looking at a third temple, I hope it is a vegan temple, right? Along with the prophecies of Hosea, that it's the vegetarian offerings that God will welcome as of days of old, but maybe not the other ones. Yeah. Were Adam and Eve vegans? Yes, hi am I. According to some interpretations, and I go with those, Adam and Eve were vegan. All of creation was vegan, actually, and only after the fall from grace and the expulsion from Eden did we start with this meat-eating thing. So yeah, and definitely after Noah and the flood coming out of the ark, then human beings were allowed to eat meat. Blink twice if you're being held captive by a dairy company, says the UK advisor. I'll wink. How about that? What does that tell you? Are you an Orthodox Jew? Oh, wait, it just jumped again. I don't know who said that. I don't know who said. Fart falafel, says Matthew. Indeed, yes, Matthew, it's true. Oh, man. Well, I read the question, but I don't know who said it. So I grew up modern Orthodox in Jerusalem. I no longer consider myself like fully Orthodox just because I don't keep strict halacha anymore. I pick and choose everything. I'm a cherry picker and I make no apology. So label-wise, I suppose I am Orthodox in a lot of ways. But for me, no, I don't put the label of Orthodox on me because I might be doing it a disservice. Because I don't have a rabbi. I no longer go to shul. I pray every day, but I don't go to shul. So yeah. Vegan, what about breast milk? Breast milk is definitely vegan. I actually really enjoy breast milk whenever I can have it. Murphy says, oh, I'm sorry, that was Murphy who said vegan. What about breast milk? Yeah, breast milk is vegan. House says, is this why Jews are in anti-meat and anti-dairy lobbies? I don't know. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. Shalom from Cyprus, says Anthony. They have no clue about Adam and Eve, says Muslim 786. No, it's just the idea. I have a very good feeling that Eden was vegan. It doesn't mean that I know. Let me make this very clear. I don't know anything. We're just talking. We're just having a dialogue. I have ideas. I can address certain questions, but I definitely don't think that I have definite wisdom, knowledge, truth, answers. Not at all. Not at all. We're just talking. So if you say they have no clue about Adam and Eve, if you're talking about me or Jews, I don't know about Jews, I'll talk about me, I definitely have no clue. But I do know what I was clued in by through the divine revelation. And veganism in Eden is one of the things that I was clued into. And that's it. How did Jacob not know that he was sleeping with Leah instead of Rachel after their wedding? Is there some kind of tradition where they hide the bride's face or something? First of all, there is. It's called the bedeken, or kisui kala, a veil, a hinuma. But second of all, commentary, Rashi, I think, brings either the Midrash or his own original commentary, right? Rabbi Shlomo Yitzchaki, an 11th century French commentator on the Torah, who says that, well, it was dark. He came into the tent. And in order for Leah not to be shamed that night, first of all, yes, he covered her face during the wedding. And when they were about to consummate the marriage, Rachel and Yaakov had signs, like a specific, like gang signs, right? To identify each other. They had some signs to identify each other. And Rachel, they say, gave Leah those simanim, those signs, which is why it says, Vayehi baboker vehinehi Leah, and it was in the morning and she was Leah. That's the verse. I'm translating on the fly, right? In the morning she was Leah. The commentators say, but last night she wasn't Leah? It's like, no, last night he actually did think that it was Rachel. So yeah. So there is the tradition of covering the bride's face in a wedding. The groom covers her face. I mean, this is what it's come to now. Earlier it was other people covering her face. But yes, the bride has her face covered, and when they consummated in a dark tent, presumably in a dark tent, or, semi-dark with some romantic torchlight or whatever, Leah acted out the signals, the signs that Rachel told her to, so her sister would not be ashamed. And she wasn't Leah at night, but she was Leah in the morning, right? That's what that means. Now, there are different commentaries on the nature of that bait and switch, if you will. But that's like the basic commentary that's how Jacob did not know, because the sisters had their sisterly bond, and Rachel felt really bad for Leah, and so she gave her ways to behave, things to do, and carry herself, or some sort of speech, or a code word, or a safe word, I don't know what, so Jacob would not know that it's not Rachel. Let's continue going down in the chat. Down in the chat. Oh, wait. Blah. No, come on, it jumped again. It jumped again. Is male sperm vegan? Interesting question. I'm assuming that it is, yes. I'm assuming that it is. Yes, says Joshua, Jacob didn't know that he married Leah instead of Rachel because of the wedding veil. Indeed, that's what people say. Please talk about the sons of Esau. Well, he had many. Eliphaz was the sons of Esau, they were 12, or rather 12 regions of Edom. Is it 12? Am I thinking of Ishmael? Or am I thinking of Edom? I don't remember. But the sons of Edom, right, and the kings of Edom, right, the 7 kings. Well, what do you mean talk about them? I'm not exactly sure what you want me to say, but the sons of Esau were also blessed because their father Esau received a blessing. Esau and Jacob embraced after 20 years of not seeing each other. And I wish that Israel and Esau's children, right, Israel's children and Esau's children in this day and age will also be able to embrace. I truly would love that. But I'm not sure exactly what you want me to say about the sons of Esau. Nothing particularly comes to mind other than the fact that Esau is Edom. Edom is many times associated with modern-day Christianity, right? And back in the day with Rome and the Roman Empire, which sort of paved the way for the Western way of life, that also is very Christian in its nature. Even if now a lot of people in the West won't necessarily define themselves as Christian, the values that they grew up with, and the values that the West grew up with, are more or less Christian values. Some people say Judeo-Christian values, right? Athens, Rome, and Jerusalem, that trinity of knowledge and of conduct. But what is it about the sons of Esau that you would want to know more specifically? I don't know. You are vegan but would eat fried foreskin? Obviously, I'm just being humorous. No, I would not want to eat fried foreskin. Also, fried foreskin, give me a break. I said deep fried foreskin. I said barbecue flavored deep fried foreskin. So come on, get it right, man. Get it right. Esau sold his birthright to Jacob for a bowl of stew. Yes, benezid adashim. That is correct. Can you eat a Big Mac if you weren't vegan? No, because a Big Mac is cheese and meat. That is dairy and meat. And so, no. The kosher thing to do was to have a vegan Big Mac, which is fake meat and fake cheese. Or you could have a Big Mac without the cheese, But I think they also would probably put dairy in the sauce, I would think. So there are kosher McDonald's in Jerusalem and other places in Israel, like a handful of kosher branches of McDonald's. And so if I wanted to eat a Big Mac there, if they had a vegan option, or if I wasn't vegan, that's where I would do it. You eat foreskin soup, says Wolf. You know what? My woman makes a soup every Shabbos. God bless her. She keeps me healthy. Because I'm a lazy vegan, and so she makes a soup every Shabbat, and it lasts until like Tuesday. And foreskin soup she's never made. I wonder where she could get some foreskin for the soup. But it's not vegan, so I won't have it anyway. That reminds me of Louis C.K. and the big barrel of duck vaginas. Do you know that one? Could we dominate a species more? We have their vaginas in a fucking barrel. Okay. Let's continue. Mats says, have you ever read, Mats spams, have you ever read the New Testament to clarify if Jesus actually was God or not? I've read the New Testament once. I loved the gospel. The rest of it I did not care for at all, because in the gospel I saw actually some wisdom that could pertain to me, whereas in the the letters and the Acts and Revelation, even though you could say there's wisdom there, it went too far away from the way of Torah, so I simply didn't really care for it too much as a Hebrew man who tries to follow Torah. As for Jesus being God, no, I believe that he was never ever God. He was just a man. He could have been a sage, a prophet, a king, an anointed one, a special human being, a great scholar, and all of that, a man of God through and through. But then he died, and when he died, like any other king or prophet or anointed one before him, that's it, he's dead. So that's what he is to me, a dead man. No more, no less. Why you chose to be vegan, Sirhat says. So the veganism I took on when I took my Nazarite vow, it's not part of the vow, but I took it on as an addendum, as did I abstain from all alcohol, not just wine and grape things, grape alcohol and grapes, but all alcohol. So I haven't had any alcohol in 15 years, and I've been vegan for 15 years. I would really love to go to my grave still under this vow and these additions that I took along with the vow. It's not part of it, but I took it along with it. I chose to be vegan because the Samson Nazarite, which is what I am, the Samson Nazarite is a Nazarite that can be defiled by death. I'm allowed to be defiled. Some say that I'm allowed to come next to dead bodies and be next to them because there is no actual defilement of death for the Samson Nazarite. It's a whole thing. I won't get into it. But I got into being vegan because sanctifying life is part of what the Nazariteship was about for me, is still about. And I thought to myself, if I'm not abstaining from dead corpses, right, from dead human bodies, and I'm not keeping the numbers vow, but a Samson vow, I would still love to bring that into being, right? That idea of sanctifying life and abstaining from death. So I went vegan. That's why. Let's continue. He does not cut his hair either because of the Nazarite vow, says Joshua. I'm assuming someone said something about the hair. Oh no, you said he... Yes. Oh, you said either. Well, someone said something else. But okay. Lloyd says, I've never talked to anyone about Judaism, but I've been raised Catholic my life, and I was told that we were an evolution of Judaism. If you don't mind, what does it mean to you to be of the faith? Well, it means to carry on a great covenant going back to the days of Eden. It's Adam, and then 10 generations till Noah, and then 10 generations till Abraham, and then 3 generations until the tribes, and then a few hundred years in Egypt, finally arriving at Sinai, and receiving the word of the revelation of God, right, in voice form, receiving the Torah, and carrying that covenant forward ever since, from mother to daughter, from father to son, from master to apprentice, from rabbi to disciple, the Hebrew faith, the covenant of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob that we roll with, to be a Hebrew man, right, and to go with it, and to not be deterred by anything. So what does it mean to me to be one of the faith? It means a great deal. It means that this part of the faith, we are a people who hearken back to Eden, because all of us as human beings with a soul hearken back to Eden. What I'm saying is that something like the Torah, something like the commandments that we received, it guides us back to the path of the tree of life. We'll all get there maybe in different ways, but for the Hebrew mandate, guide us towards the path of the tree of life. I'm almost, you know what, I've been on for almost 2 hours, and this is usually the cutoff, but maybe I'll keep going. I don't know, we'll see. How is it like for you to be Catholic? What does it mean to you to be part of the faith? Sarat says, why growing beard and hair is so important to Jews? Never seen a clean-shaved Jewish. Well, the beard is important for a couple of reasons, physically and esoterically, if you will, but many, many Jews shave every single day, clean-shaven, clean-cut Jews who are bald-headed and clean-shaven, many of them. However, if they grow the beard, it's because of what the beard represents, right? We were made in the image of God, and the male or masculine beard represents a certain divine revelation. Well, let's leave it at that. Like the hair is a certain divine revelation, right? For a Nazarite, or for a king, or for a layman or laywoman. The hair represents different divine revelations depending on who you are. As for the side curls, right, or not the side curls, that's simply an embellishment on the halacha. According to the Hebrew faith and halacha, we are not allowed to shave like all the way down with a razor or with something like a razor and pull out of the root the corners of the head, right, over here, which is why chassids and others grow it out, and I did too. I had long side curls, and the hair grew around them. I never cut my peot. I never cut my side curls. So that's why, right? And some would say it's just a Jewish look. I want to look like a Yid, and that's how Yid look, right? That's how Yiddish Menschen look like. Secret Tunnel Visions, I love the name, says, do Jews grant each other sanctuary when they get caught as pedophiles? I've been told this about Israel, but I've seen no actual sources on Israel being this haven for pedophiles. We don't care about what you eat. What about the actions? Okay, what about the actions? People say that Israel, or some people in the chat anyway, have said that Israel is a haven for pedophiles and that we give sanctuary to pedophiles and do not persecute them. I have no idea. Maybe there's some sort of a government agenda to protect pederasts or pedophiles. I have no idea. But I don't know. If they're caught, they're not just pedophiles, they're pederasts. Likely. I have no idea. But I guess you mean the same thing, right? People who mess around with kids. I don't know if Jews grant each other sanctuary. I've heard that about the state of Israel, but it could have been just Israel haters spewing their hatred and their bile. I have no idea. But if you mean outside the state of Israel, you tell me. I know that, this is true to any in-group, out-group, tribal way of thinking. You take care of your own. But look, pederasty and pedophilia is such a heinous thing. Once again, the action. Because I don't judge anybody. If you're attracted to kids, you're attracted to kids. It's something that happens. Or if you, have watched like too much porn and you've gotten into these horrible places and into these taboo areas and I don't know what, I don't judge you. But action is different. If you actually do sexually harass, molest, or engage in any kind of sexual anything with a child, that is wrong on so many levels, and you belong in prison, right? And that's an action. That's not an attraction inside, and that's not simply like a desire that you don't act on. Like, that's an action already. So, I don't know if Jews in Israel or otherwise grant pedophiles sanctuary, but that's what I've heard. I have no idea. It's not mentioned as like, to me, it hasn't been made common knowledge. I have no idea. Oh, a super chat came in. Let's go with that. JP continues. JP is all up in the super chat. How important is it to do a mitzvah of baptism? Well, it's not baptism, it's immersion. But yeah, I suppose baptism. Because baptism is more of the Christian way to say it. But yes, immersion in a mikveh. What does it mean? Is that what Jesus and John the Baptist were doing? Yes, so we have the mikveh. The mikveh is a ritual pool or a ritual bath. It's not like any bath that you have at home. It's a specific measurement with living water in it, right? Water that there are different halachas, right? It has to be 40 se'ahs. It has to be at least a cubed meter, right? A meter by a meter by a meter, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe it's 1.5 meters. 40 se'ot anyway, right? That's a kosher mikveh. Or it could be a river, or a canal, or the sea, or What else can be a mikveh? Right? An ocean, a great body of water. So what it means is that when you go into the mikveh, first of all, there's the ritual. You can go without the ritual and just dunk yourself naked and be purified ritually by certain uncleanliness, right? We have cleanliness, ritual uncleanliness, and ritual purity and impurity. This doesn't mean that you're dirty. It means that in the faith, we have times in which each and every one of us is pure and impure, and we have levels and nuance, just like there are levels of sacredness, right? There's the sacredness of the Sabbath, as opposed to the sacredness of the festivals, as opposed to the sacredness of Yom Kippur, the Holiday of Atonement, varying levels of divine revelation which imbue the day with a certain energy or potential. And in that very same way, we have different nuanced levels of purity and impurity. For instance, right, if a woman is menstruating, that's one type of impurity. If you eat non-kosher food, that's another type of impurity. If you are around a dead human body, a corpse, that's the highest level of impurity. And in the very same way, you have different ways in which to cleanse yourself and once again become ritually pure. Again, this does not mean that you're dirty. It means that you were not able to do certain things physically because of a spiritual position you were in, of uncleanliness, of ritual impurity, and then there are ways of getting back into purity, like coming to the temple and making a sacrifice and all that. It had to be more or less. If you were an individual bringing a sacrifice, you had to be pure. This is not always the case, especially with like public sacrificial elements, sacrificial offerings. But so what it means is, first of all, physically, practically, it means that if you were impure, let's say a nocturnal emission or a daily emission of semen, right, of seed, right. If you're a guy and sperm came out of you, you are ritually unclean to a certain degree. If you go to a mikveh and you dunk yourself in completely, all the way immersed, and then you come out, you immediately are cleansed of that ritual impurity. So if there was something that had stopped you, right, halachically, from performing a certain mitzvah or carrying out a certain deed because of your ritual impurity of an emission of seed, then you would be cleansed by virtue of that mikveh. However, other mikvahs, you had to wait until the sunset on that day, for instance. Again, it's nuanced. But what it means is that it's like a womb. The mikveh is like a womb. You go in there, you're all in there, you immerse yourself in it, and then you exit the womb, and you are, as a small child, as a convert, straight, tabula rasa, clean slate, so to speak, under certain conditions and in certain ways, not always. For instance, defilement of death requires the red heifer, right? Defilement of a corpse requires a red heifer. You could go to the mikveh every single day and still not be ritually cleansed or cleaned of that particular impurity, even if you are cleansed of all the other impurities below it on the hierarchy of impurity. You see what I'm saying? As for, is that what Jesus and John the Baptist were doing? Yes, presumably that's what they were doing at the River Jordan, because a river is a proper natural mikveh. Now, you have man-made mikvehs, and you have natural mikvehs, like bodies of water. So you could go to either one. Mikveh is something that some people do every day. Some people do it before Shabbos every Friday. Some people do it only once or twice a year during the high holidays, and some people never do it. Some people do it only on the new moon, maybe, or to each his own. Mikveh is one of, I haven't done it regularly in a very long time, but it definitely used to be one of my favorite things to do. I used to go every Friday for years. I would go every Friday before Shabbat. It's a wonderful ritual. I love it. Now, there's a kind of confession that you say before it, and a short prayer that you say before it, and there are certain names that you can ponder and think of while you're in the water. But what I love about the mikveh more than anything, I think, other than the actual dunking in the water and coming out refreshed, rejuvenated, and born again out of the womb, right? The thing I love about the mikveh is that it's just full of dudes, naked dudes, right? You go in naked. You could have a towel around you before you go in, but the point is that you remove your clothing. I removed my wedding ring. Back when I had an earring, I removed the earring, and then I was just a guy. No jewelry, right? No glasses. It was just me. Plain old me. That's it. and a lot of other people. And it could very well be that when they get out of the mikveh and they get dressed, you'll see one of them is secular. One of them has tattoos all over him. One of them is a chassid. One of them is a Haredi. One of them has uniform and he's an IDF soldier. But when we're naked there in that mikveh, we are all the same. Just ordinary Hebrew men going to the mikveh. And all of the things that we would consider that which comes between us and differentiates us and divides us, the clothes we wear and the things, the jewelry, or I don't know what. Those things are all gone in the mikveh. They really are gone. And that's part of what I love about the mikveh, JP. It's a wonderful ritual, and I'm very thankful whenever I do get to go. I have one in my neighborhood, like 10 minutes away. So how important is it to do the mitzvah? Nowadays, the only ones who it's really important to are women because of their natural cycle of menstruation, of impurity and purity on a ritualistic level. It's only the women who can become impure and pure in the sense of that a mikveh, right, let's put it this way. It's more important for the women on a monthly basis because of their menstruation cycle, but it's just as important for the dudes. Even those who don't do it every single day or every week or every month or every I don't know what, many people still go to the mikveh on the eves of the high holidays. And I, even if I don't go all year, I make an effort, though that usually doesn't happen. But even if I wouldn't go all year, I would go before Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, right? Before the Festival of Trumpets, the Feast of Trumpets, the New Year, and the Holiday of Atonements, Yom Kippurim. That's what I would do. And it's a wonderful tradition, and it's a wonderful mitzvah. It really, really is. Bro, get off YouTube live and read the Torah. All right, here it is. This is one Torah. I mean, I have a few here. This is the Torah that I received before I joined the army. I also have the Bible that I was sworn on as an IDF soldier. I actually have read Torah today. And now I'm doing this. I'm talking to people, which is also very, very good. And I consider it to be part of what I'm supposed to be doing. So I'm cool with that. But thank you, Wickelstein. I do appreciate it. I do love to read Torah. And Mishpatim, this week's Torah portion, is chock full of commandments. I was learning with my kids earlier. Kids, were they plural? Yes, two out of 4. I was learning with my kids earlier. We were learning about the weekly Torah portion, and I told them that this is the most packed Torah portion, commandment-wise. And then I said, wait, is it? And no, it's the third. It's the third. We have Kitetze, and then we have Emor, and then we have Mishpatim. So it's third on the hierarchy of commandment-packed Torah portions. Don't call Jesus a dude, says Muslim. Why? As far as I'm concerned, he was a dude, like me, like you, and he died like a dude. What's your view on Sikhism, says the inversion kid. I'm a fan. I've met some Sikhs. I've spoken to some Sikhs. Whenever I met a Sikh, and I met them more in the Netherlands, not here, I always asked them how many of the artifacts they have on. I have yet to meet a Sikh that has all of the holy artifacts. There are 5 of them, if I'm not mistaken. 5 or 7, I think it's 5. A lot of them will have the turban. A lot of them will have the bracelet. Some of them will have the dagger. I don't recall what the other 2 are right now, but I have not met a Sikh that had all 5. So now maybe it's simply that no Sikh has all 5, and that you go with whatever it is you feel at that moment, or you go with, like, on the regular with things that you are more called into wearing. But I think there are 5 artifacts. The inversion kid, correct me if I'm wrong. But Sikhism, as I understand it, is a very peaceful faith. Sikhism is a faith that there's a lot in common, let's say, with value-wise. That's what I'm saying. Beard, hat, cow costume, legit Jew. Yeah, that's right, Jehoshaphat. Darn tootin'. Why don't Jews believe that Jesus was the Messiah, says Janelle? Because he's dead. And once he's dead, he's no longer Messiah. That's why. He could have been Messiah, but then he died. Underwear, says Clips to Goo. Underwear, here and there, everywhere, underwear. Do you go to the Netherlands often? Do you speak Dutch? Nee, geen spreken, geen? Yes, geen spreken Nederlands. But I went to the Netherlands almost 20 years ago for a few days. But then 7 years ago, I went there for 3 years for my woman's master's. I lived just outside of Amsterdam for 3 years, but I don't go often. My wife goes often. I do not go often at all. No. There are 5, including a comb, if I'm correct. Okay, so there are 5. Right, so the comb, because they keep the hair in the turban, but they keep it clean and neat. So they also have the comb. That is correct. I feel like you don't respect Jesus even if you see him as a human being, says Sirhat. Listen, I said that I would probably have followed him myself if I was around at the time. I would have been happy to call him master. I would have been happy to call him rabbi. But he's dead. I can say Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and David, and Solomon, and Moses, and Aaron, and everybody that I read about in the Bible is dead. Everybody in the Mishnah, except for Elijah and Hanoch, they ascended. They did not die traditionally. Other than those two, everybody is dead. Dead and gone. We follow in their footsteps, right? And all of that. Everything. But they are dead. So they are dead men and women, no more, no less. There's a lot we can learn from them. And there are different revelations, right, of God that came in through them. Let's say with the patriarchs and with David and with Moses, Aaron, Joseph, all that. Of course. But they are dead. So you think it's disrespectful because you may think Jesus is still alive and well. I don't think he's alive. He may be well, but he's not alive. I think he is very much dead. But I say the same thing about all of the figures in the Bible who died. So what's the deal? It's not disrespect. It's not disrespect according to me. So no. He was raised to heaven to return. Prophets don't die on crosses. Okay, if you say so. As far as I'm concerned, like I say many times, I don't have a problem with him living. I don't have a problem with him dying. I don't have a problem with him ascending. I don't have a problem with him resurrecting, and then ascending. I have a problem with him being God. That's where I draw the line. Living, dying, resurrecting, and ascension all have their root in the Hebrew Bible. People lived, people died, a couple of people were resurrected, a couple of people had ascended and not died. So that the root is there for all of those things. There is no root in the Hebrew Bible for God in the flesh, a human being God, right? A human God, a God incarnate. That's nothing. Now, other nations may have such a revelation. Jews do not. We are cautioned and warned not to make creation into a creator. We are cautioned and warned to be very careful, says Moses. You heard the revelation of a voice and saw no image. Do not make the mistake of thinking that something in the sky, the land, the sea, or the land under the sea can be made into a god. Nothing. Zero. Zilch. Gurnisht. Nada. Bubkis. So that's why. Now, if you think of it as disrespect, that's on you, but I'm not disrespecting Jesus. I'm just saying he's dead, like everyone else. Except for Hanoch and Eliyahu. You look filthy and unclean. Well, I'm a cow, Richie. I go out, and I herd, and I'm in nature. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure says, hi, am I. So I watched that so many years ago. I also watched Bill and Ted's Excellent Journey. I think there were 2, right? I really loved that duo. I recently somehow, who sent it to me? Someone sent me the auditions that Keanu Reeves and the other dude's name, I forget his name, the auditions that were held for them and others, other duos as Bill and Ted, right? The audition tapes. It's like 5 minutes. It took me way back. I also remember Death. I remember Death was a good character there as well. JP says, what's up with Enoch, Hanoch? Do you think he got raptured, and do you believe in a rapture of us being snatched away like Apostle Paul talked about? So Hanoch and Eliyahu were human beings. There's a difference of opinion, a kind of debate on whether or not they were originally angelic, then made human, then returning to angelic, or if they were human beings and received an angelic form to perform a certain duty. Now, Hanoch is above Elijah in that hierarchy, right, of 2. Hanoch is above Elijah. There is the idea of reincarnation of Hanoch being Elijah, Hanoch being Pinchas, Pinchas being Elijah, right? Hanoch hu Pinchas hu Eliyahu. So Hanoch, Enoch, Phineas or Pinchas, and Elijah, Eliyahu. Some people say it's the same deal, the same soul or spark of a soul, the same fragment of divinity, if you will, of that enlivens us and makes us be. The life force was shared between Hanoch and Pinchas and Eliyahu. Now, what's up with Hanoch? What it says, that Hanoch walked before God and was gone, for God took him. Traditionally speaking, Hanoch became the angel, and I hope I'm not doing any wrong by saying the name right here and now, the angel Metatron. The angel Metatron, as he's known. Now, he is the highest angel. He is that voice of God. He is the angel that is in charge of the 6 days of creation. He is the angel that is manifested as a part of Shekhinah, if you will, like divine dwelling, the divine feminine presence, is interconnected with Metatron or Memtet. So I don't think it was a kind of rapture, because those two things, right, Hanoch and Eliyahu, were taken away for a specific task, right? Hanoch became the angel Metatron, or Metatron with a yod. There are two different facets of Metatron, but I'll leave it at that. With a yod and without a yod, and it matters. And there's Eliyahu, who is known as the angel of the covenant, who is there at every circumcision, who is there at every feast of Passover, and who is there at every Motzei Shabbat, right, when the queen exits, and we have the fourth meal, and there's the separating, the Havdalah, between the blessed day of Sabbath and the 6 days of labor and of toil. So what's up with Hanoch is that he received this job, this task of being the voice of God and the highest divine revelation during the 6 days of the week. That's his world, the world of Metatron. Now, Metatron is an angel, which comes from a specific world in the hierarchy, right? We have Atzilut, Bria, Yetzira, Asiyah, the four worlds, traditionally, Kabbalistically speaking, four worlds, corresponding to Yod, He, Vav, He. And the angels, right? The humans are above the angels are below the humans, and Metatron, Hanoch, is an angel that is higher than all the angels. So he's in sort of a class on his own as a unique spiritual being. As for rapture and being snatched away, I believe basically that everything that lives dies. And so I don't think we will be snatched away. I think that everybody that lives and everything that lives, all the earthlings that have ever lived, except for Hanoch and Eliyahu, who will also might come back and die, we are still waiting to partake of the fruit of the tree of life. We are still waiting to complete the mission, the job, the task that we were given in Eden. And now we have fallen, and we are in a world outside of Eden, but the tree of life was put under guard, but never actually specifically forbidden. And so we still have a task to fulfill and a mission to carry out. I don't believe so much in rapture as I do believe in that reincarnation when we partake of the fruit of the tree of life. Then it's not life as opposed to death. It's real reincarnation in the sense of resurrection for real. It's not reincarnation of an old soul in a new body. It's a collective soul in a collective body of the spirit that was supposed to happen in Eden, but we were kicked out. So that's kind of, in a nutshell, what I think about Hanoch and Eliyahu. Hanoch and Eliyahu both became angels of different, two different angels, and they do show up in this world, and they have as messengers and as people who, many people say that they had a revelation of Eliyahu who taught them Torah. Very famously, the Ari, right? Rabbi Yitzchak Luria, the Arizal, the Kabbalah that he learned was from the mouth of Eliyahu, the prophet. So Eliyahu is still revealed, and like I said, every male circumcision and every Passover and every Saturday night there is a revelation of Eliyahu. Eliyahu is also supposed to come according to the book of Malachi, right? I'm sending to you Elijah the prophet, and he will return the hearts of fathers to their sons and sons on their fathers, right? That returning of the heart. Religion is trying to teach us humility. Thank you, Jesus, says Jason. Yes, humility is the key to all good things. Are you Muslim? No, I'm not, Kitty B. Dazed and Confused is another good film. I think I only saw it once, like over 20 years ago. Your cow costume should be gold, says Billy Green. Really? Why should it be gold? Jews are what's wrong with the world, says Ryan. Yes, many people think that. I'm inclined to disagree, seeing as how Jews and Israelis bring so much goodness into the world, so many inventions, things to do with medicine, industry, science, progress, innovation. The Jews contribute a lot to the world, artistically and industrially. Why do some people want to speed up Armageddon, says House? Well, this is a time-honored tradition, not for the Hebrews much, but for other people, definitely. This idea of hastening it, right? Not necessarily Armageddon, but getting to a place where the divine revelation is here, whether it's with or without this final judgment, and all of us knowing God together, God pouring his spirit and his revelation upon all flesh, like it says in the book of Yoel. So I can see why people would want to hasten that. However, we in the Hebrew faith are told not to hasten things, to take things one day at a time, right? And that not to focus on the future more than we ought to, I suppose, or could, and not to calculate the end of days, not to try and figure out the coming of this or that Messiah, not to try and figure out when this war will happen or not, but just to go with humility, with a plain walk before God. Would you consider yourself a hippie, says Mayan? Well, hip means aware. That's why the hippies were called hippies. I strive for awareness inside and out. I still have a lot of work to do. I definitely would consider myself a hippie in the sense that I try to be aware and I try to be hip to the scene. But I'm not a hippie in the sense that I am not necessarily a pacifist, and I am something of I'm a Hebrew man, so yeah, I consider myself a Hebrew hippie for sure, at least to some degree. I go in the ways of my parents, right? My parents are children of the 60s, and that's how they raised me, basically. To be a hippy-dippy Jew. Canaanite, says Clips, are descendants of whatever precedes them, like the Levantines. So yeah, Canaan was in the Levant. We are Levantine people. That much is true. Heaven and hell are things in Judaism or not, says Serhat. No, heaven is not really heaven, because people use heaven as an end goal. Eden, there's a higher Eden and a lower Eden, but the lower Eden is simply a waiting room, like I said, on the way to partake of the fruit of the tree of life. So those who fulfill their mission and who fulfill their task, and whose soul is either cleansed in some sort of purgatory kind of way, right, through purgation, or through their dealings and doings here in this world, right, covenants and commandment, they arrive in heaven, so to speak, as a waiting room. And they will wait there until we all join them and partake of the fruit of tree of life together. As for hell, there is no hell, because hell in the Christian way bespeaks eternity. Some say that this is not exactly the case, but mostly there is no Hebrew hell. There's something along the lines of purgatory, meaning a temporary place of refinement, a temporary place of cleansing, of shedding karma, if you will. So yeah. So those are things kind of, but not as most people would conceptualize heaven or hell. Mayan says, interesting for sure. I really like this guy's take on everything. And let's make it clear, it's just my take. And things that I've said, most of it is just me rambling and regurgitating things that I had read or that I'd learned. I do put my spin on things occasionally, and I have my moments of... But, they're few and far between. What is the optimal grazing rotation? What is ideal herd size? So I would say the ideal herd size is about 70, and depending on the stretch of land where you are actually grazing, the rotation, I don't know. I mean, I love grass, right? I'm a fan, and my four stomachs just can't get enough of it. But I don't know. I just don't know. I can't tell you. Adam was born without a mother, so yeah. So there's the thing where I'm a believer in the science of evolution and in the account of creation in Genesis. The way that I reconcile this is that the soul, right, the human being that received a soul, I do believe that there was Homo habilis and Homo erectus, right, and all the other homos before Homo sapien. But I believe that Homo sapien, as we know them, us here now human beings, in this iteration, if you will, in this form, in this body, we received a divine spark that the others did not before. We received that breath of life that signified a higher living that would make us made in the image of God, right? Because we could also be like apes if we want and follow our animal desires and our base impulses and be no better than an animal. Because with an animal, it's an instinct, but we will choose to go and do it, by virtue of our I don't know what. So we might be even less than animals in that sense, and we have that way of being in the world. But we also have the potential of raising ourselves, elevating our day to day. Every time, every day, as long as we are drawing breath, we can elevate our dealings, our doings, our speech, our behavior, our mind, and our body. So, in that sense, we are a manifestation of that image of God, and when we bring it into the fold and we manifest it in life, we truly are the personification of the unique image of God in which each and every one of us is created as an individual. So I believe that Adam could have been born from a woman, but that he received a unique position as a breath of life, a kind of soul that the others did not have before. They may have had a beastly soul, an animal soul, but they did not have a divine soul that made him that image of God that we seek to personify. Yes. Hebrew hell is watching someone else spend your money. Oh, darn. The chat just jumped. Oh well. Let's continue. Humans aren't above all creation, LOL, says the Fates. Okay, I understand those who think that. What I'm saying is that human beings are just a mammal, yes, but we have the potential, the capacity, some would say the duty and responsibility, to elevate ourselves and all of our fellow earthlings along with us, and all of this multiverse of multiverses along with us, not just Earth and the earthlings. So you can say we're not above all creation, but I definitely am inclined to think, falsely maybe, that the human being has the potential, the capacity for manifesting a divine image in the sense that animals cannot, because they work from instinct, right? Stimulus, response, stimulus, response. Some of them are more advanced. Some mammals are really, really advanced, right? With communication, showing emotion, all of that. Sure. But human beings have expanded and expounded in such a way where it's a totally different animal, not to mention that we are dominating the earth right now, for better or worse. And so we have a responsibility towards that earth. If we are the dominating species, we also have it behooves us, right, to be the guardians and the custodians and the caretakers of this planet, which means that we can be above all creation because we call the shots. So even if you say, no, we're just stupid, silly ape mammals, and there's nothing spiritual about us, I'd say, okay, look at history. What do you think about that? But let's grant that we are currently the dominating species, which literally puts us, we left the food chain. We are outside of the food chain. Of course we are above all of creation. Of course. If you take it only physically on this specific world, not metaphysically, not spiritually, without the four worlds of Kabbalah and the origin of the soul, and all of that can go to the wayside, we are definitely above. Now, it doesn't mean we should be proud. It doesn't mean we should be vain and arrogant. It doesn't mean we should be ungrateful to our fellow earthlings, not by a long shot. But I think it's disingenuous to look at this modern day and age and say that we're not above all creation. And if you're going to say that, fine, but we definitely have the capacity to be. All right. Silly argument, says the Fates. Okay, you're entitled to think that. That's all good. It's all good. Can you please say happy birthday to Abdul, please? He's a big fan. Well, if he's a big fan, he could have asked me himself. Moo, I say. All right. Abdul, happy birthday to Moo. Happy birthday to Moo. Happy birthday, dear Abdul. Happy birthday to you. There you go. Many happy returns. Is there a waiting room? If there is a waiting room, says Trash Boy. Love the name. Is there a waiting room higher Eden for Israelites? What's to happen to the Gentiles? No, I believe that we are all human beings made in the image of God, and it doesn't matter if you're a Jew or a Gentile. Others might disagree with me. That's simply how I see it. I can't read. Okay, let's put that over there. Is it easier to regurgitate recycled lies? Vladimir asks. I would think so, yes. I would think it's easier to regurgitate recycled lies because then you don't need to come up with the lies on the spot and it's easier to regurgitate them. Also, as a cow, I would definitely know I chew my cud all the time. E-Dog says, do you think there was ever a time in history where Jesus farted and the disciples heard it and it was loud and they all started laughing? Well, if he was a human being, sure, because why not? Everybody poops, everybody farts. I don't think it says, I have only read the New Testament once, it's true, but I don't think I read anything about gaseous expulsions from anyone's anus. Hey, Eiler is here. Hey, Eiler, good to see you, my man. Good to see you, indeed. It's so much fun. All right, it's been 2.5 hours. I think I'm going to say goodbye. Oof, what is Adam Kadmon? Oh, my God. Oh, my God, my God. What is Adam Kadmon? That is too much for me to get into right now. But there are traditionally 4 worlds, and Adam Kadmon is the world before those 4. It represents the tip of the Yod. And it also corresponds with the Sfira of Keter. Adam Kadmon literally means early man or primordial man. That's what that means. Adam is Adam. Kadmon means ancient, or not really ancient, but primordial. So what happens to the Gentiles? Can we achieve salvation? Trash Boy asks. Yes, I believe that a person, it doesn't matter if they're a gentle or a Jew, a man or a woman, a slave or a handmaid or a free person, according to your actions, does the divine revelation rest upon you. According to your deeds, according to your dealings and doings, your words, your thoughts, right? The way you comport yourself in the world, the way you treat others, that's what counts more than anything. So yes, salvation is up to each and every one of us. That's why I don't believe in this whole Jesus saves thing, other than the fact that I'm not a Christian and all that. But I don't believe in that because I believe that we have the duty to save ourselves by the grace of the Most High God. But to do the actions, nobody died for my sins and saved me from anything. I'm here to do what I can to save myself, right? With the Torah, the commandments, and the covenant, or the Calvinant. That's what I'm here to do. That's what we are here to do. So that's what happens. I think we all get there together. I really do. Mati says, what do you teach in Israel? I don't teach. I'm not a teacher of any kind. I'm not a teacher or a master. I'm always and ever a student. So I don't teach anything. Okay, I will say goodbye. This has been so much fun. So much fun. My God, I deeply appreciate your time and your kind and gentle attention. The likes, the subs, the views, the haters, the lovers, the embracers, the naysayers, the rejectors, the ones who say I'm mentally ill, the ones who say that I need to shave and shower and bathe, the ones who say that I'm smelly, dirty, farty, the ones who call me a pedophile, the ones who say that Israel shouldn't exist. Everything is awesome. And, we're all just having a good time here on the chat, and that's what we are here for. We're here just talking, and I thank you for taking the time to talk to me this evening, live from Jerusalem. Those watching now, those watching later, I don't take it for granted. You're taking time out of your day, your night, your life to listen to my rants and raves. I love the discourse. Those of you, by the way, whose chat I did not get to, leave a comment. I answer every single comment that I get, so please address the comment to me, and I will get it, and I will answer it, or I will address it the best I can. Furthermore, if you don't want to do it here, I'm available in the DMs. I don't post much, but I'm in the DMs on Facebook and TikTok and Instagram and Twitter. So hit me up, Hebrew Nazarite, look for my tree. It's over there. Is that it? I hope this was fun for you. It's so much fun for me. You give me so much strength. You give me so much nourishment. You give me such sustenance. I love doing this. It's live, it's raw, it's happening, it's magical. Until, hopefully, tomorrow, on the next live stream where the wonders never cease. I love it. By the way, thank you to those who contributed money. It will all go to charity. I haven't been paid yet. When I get paid, you will know, and I'll do the screenshot and everything, and we'll give it to a charity whenever I do get paid. We have raised close to 2,000 shekels in like 2.5 weeks, which is awesome. It will all go to charity, God willing. And so thank you, all of you, with the super chat, the super stickers, and things of that nature. Those watching the ads and making revenue for the channel It's awesome, and I definitely thank you for doing that. What else? What else? What else? Moo from Jerusalem. L'chaim.